Hello friends, welcome to the Manhwa Storyline channel. So today, we are going to explain a new manhwa because I recently read it, and it's absolutely amazing.
The man was reborn a month before the apocalypse, yet he sold stocks worth 3 billion for a mere 1 billion. He hoarded 1 billion tons of supplies directly, all because in 27 days, a global apocalyptic crisis would break out. 80% of humanity would turn into zombies, and of the remaining humans, 90% would die at the hands of zombies. A small portion of the surviving humans would begin to evolve and develop special abilities, some physical, some elemental, and some mental. Yet, the ability the man possessed was the incredibly rare spatial power. In his past life, he was known as the Void King ever since he mastered the Void Walk, an ability that was top tier for both combat and survival. He thrived in the apocalypse like a fish in water. Regrettably, as he continued to survive, all other survivors died out. The world was left with nothing but increasingly bizarre monsters. He couldn't find another human anywhere. Unable to bear the loneliness, he dug a hole and buried himself alive. But when he woke up, Chino was reborn 27 days before the apocalypse. Moreover, the special space he had opened in his previous life still existed, and now his special space had the ability to stop time and preserve food. As for other missing powers, Chino didn't care at all. For him, now, only good food in this world was invaluable. He needed to hoard quickly. First, he hoarded a ton of pork, 100 buckets of fried chicken, and 100 servings of roasted duck, along with other various supplies. After storing all the supplies in his space, Chino received a call from his uncle, asking him to come to the corporation as there was something to discuss. When he arrived at the company and faced his uncle, Chino showed respect to his elder on the surface. Deep inside, a huge murderous intent was rising. If it weren't for the fact that in his previous life, after the apocalypse began, he heard from his uncle's son, Chenny, that 6 years ago, it was his uncle who had plotted the car accident that killed his parents and then gradually took over the shares of the corporation his parents left for him. I have a premonition that pork prices will surge again. The pork I hoarded for 1 billion could rise to 5 billion. Chino said. Upon hearing Chino's words, his uncle's mouth dropped in shock. Isn't this purely nonsense? How can he even dream of such things? After the initial shock, Chino's uncle laughed. Little Luo, how about selling it to me for 1.5 billion? Chino scratched his head, showing embarrassment. I've already sold the shares, and the contract has been signed. It's impossible to buy them back from that young master now. As he finished speaking, Chino's phone rang. He turned to his uncle with an apologetic look and walked outside. Watching Chino's retreating figure, his uncle's face darkened. This little punk dares to pull such a stunt without telling me. He needs to be taught a lesson. Outside, as Chino answered the phone, a woman's voice came through. Mr. Chen, the dog you asked us to find, the one with black fur and missing an ear, we got a lead on it. I sent you a picture. Please confirm if it's the one you lost. Upon hearing this, Chino's breathing became hurried. In the last life's apocalypse, a ranking was made for those with different abilities. Chino was naturally ranked first for spatial powers. The top in fire abilities was called the Spirit Flame Princess, also known as the Blood Rose. The top in lightning abilities was a dog named Thunder King. While some humans turned into zombies, others evolved and gained special abilities. The same happened to animals and plants. If they didn't turn into zombies, they had a chance to gain abilities. Despite being just a dog in an apocalypse with no food, many saw him as a source of fresh meat. However, all who tried were defeated without exception. Only Chino, with his spatial powers, managed to ambush this dog. The black dog in the picture was unmistakably Thunder King. The missing left ear was undeniable proof. Chino couldn't help but laugh. Thunder King, in this life, we won't be short of food. How about we team up? I promise to treat you well, ensuring you always have the best to eat and drink. Wait for me, I'll rescue you. I hope you'll recognize me as your master. After putting away his phone, Chino couldn't wait to go and rescue Thunder King. Uncle, I'm leaving now. His uncle didn't stop him. Squinting his eyes, he watched Chino hurriedly leave. The Chin Corporation no longer had anything to do with Chino. After leaving his uncle's office, Chino threw a glance back at him. Even though in my last life, my uncle and his son were lucky enough to survive after the apocalypse, they won't have that chance this time. They'll die on the day of the apocalypse. Mark my words." Upon leaving the office, Chino followed the information provided by the private detective and arrived at a dog shop. At the entrance, a large iron cage housed 3 dogs, one of which was Thunder King. Chino looked at Thunder King's current pitiful state, which bore no resemblance to the dominating figure he was after the apocalypse. Thunder King, feeling Chino's gaze, lifted its head and shuddered, cowering further inside the cage. With a degree of intelligence, it seemed to know the intentions of people who stared at it in such establishments. Chino's face changed as he exclaimed, "Where's your boss? Call him out. You've dared to steal my dog. If I hadn't found out in time, I would have lost my Thunder King." The shop owner was momentarily stunned, but he soon realized that this man was here to cause trouble. Remembering that these were all stray dogs he'd acquired, he quickly waved his hands, trying to explain, "Bro, all the dogs I have are from legitimate sources. They all look similar. You might be mistaken." Chino sneered, taking out his phone, ready to report the dog shop for theft. After all, no business can withstand thorough scrutiny. Seeing Chino's intention to call the police, the owner immediately panicked and tried to snatch the phone away. But Chino, with a decade of combat experience from the apocalypse, effortlessly subdued him. "Do you really think you can overpower me?" Chino taunted. Facing Chino's threats, the owner quickly pleaded, "It's a genuine misunderstanding, sir. I truly didn't know this dog was yours. I'll settle scores with the one who brought the dog later. You can take your dog today, free of charge. Is that acceptable?" Chino's expression softened slightly. "Considering your attitude, I'll let it go this time. Even though I'm willing to spend all I have for Thunder King, getting something for free is always the best. Little Black, come with me. Let's go home." Thunder King looked a bit confused. "Little Black? Who are you calling?" But sensing that Chino had rescued it, it obediently followed. Chino was pleased. "Looks like it understands human speech now," he thought as he opened the car door for Thunder King, who jumped in without hesitation. As Chino drove home, he thought it was a good opportunity to bond with Thunder King. An hour later, upon arriving at his luxurious mansion, Chino saw a burly, somewhat dim-looking guard in the security booth at the entrance. Chino's heart ached at the sight. The man was named Sudu, with thick brows and a simple, honest face. He looked slightly foolish due to his innocent demeanor. Sudu was Chino's close friend after the apocalypse. He was a physical ability user, impervious to weapons, with a body as strong as steel. In their previous life, before Chino mastered void walking, they were ambushed due to scarce resources. Sudu used his physical abilities to cover for Chino, even sacrificing himself so Chino could escape. Although Chino avenged him afterward, Sudu was gone forever. "My dear brother, in this life, I promise you'll live comfortably," Chino vowed, looking at the security guard. Chino invited him to hang out after work, but Sudu declined, saying, "My mother told me not to get into bad habits. Also, beware of those who are overly courteous, as they might have ulterior motives." This left Chino dumbfounded, recalling that in this timeline, he and Sudu were not yet close friends. Yet, when the apocalypse begins and Sudu is on duty, history will repeat itself, and they will become inseparable again. After entering his mansion with Thunder King, the grand fountain at the entrance made Thunder King a bit hesitant. Regardless of whether Thunder King understood him or not, Chino laughed and said, "Thunder King, this will be your home from now on. Let's go, I'll give you a bath." While bathing Thunder King, Chino began contemplating his plans for when the apocalypse erupts again. With this second chance at life, he didn't want to end up the sole survivor of humanity as he had previously. The chilling loneliness of that existence was unbearable. "Perhaps I could establish an organization," he thought. He knew which individuals would develop powerful abilities in the future, which could complement his spatial ability, ill-suited for direct combat. But setting up an organization meant needing more resources, including stocking up on staple foods, fruits, seeds, generators, medications, and most crucially, water. Water sources would be contaminated after the apocalypse, and the only safe drinking water would come from rain. he suddenly realized he also needed to stock up on high-voltage electric batons, tools effective against the impending zombies due to their vulnerability to electricity. They might become obsolete after some time, but initially they would be indispensable. As he was contemplating, Thunder King jolted at the mention of the electric batons. Chino comforted the dog by petting its head, saying, "Why are you so scared? The batons are for the zombies, not for you." With that thought, he immediately took out his phone to place an order. Suddenly, a beautiful woman arrived at the entrance of the mansion. Chino quickly welcomed her in. She was the culinary teacher he had hired for a hefty sum of 100,000 a month. With the unpredictability of the upcoming apocalypse, Chino didn't just want to stock up on supplies. He also wanted to be able to cook delectable meals. However, things didn't go as planned. Despite being coached by the talented Miyu, Chino's culinary attempts were disastrous. Even the dog refused to eat the dark dishes he prepared. Thunder King, discontented, let out an indignant growl as if to say, "What did I ever do to you, master? Why are you trying to poison me?" Chino could only sigh in resignation, sending Miyu out of the mansion. Watching her retreating figure, he began to ponder. Miyu's culinary skills were indeed impressive, but since he hadn't known her in his previous life, he wasn't sure if she'd turn into a zombie when the apocalypse hit. It would be up to fate. If she remained human, he could consider hiring her as his personal chef. As he was about to close the door after Miyu's departure, Chin Lu's eyes lit up with recognition. Am I seeing this right? It's the sisters Ming and Mi Le. In his previous life, after the onset of the apocalypse, both sisters had risen to prominence due to their awakened abilities. The elder sister, Ming, became the most powerful flame-wielding individual, earning her the title Blood Red Rose Spirit Flame Princess. The younger, Mi, awakened a light-based ability and emerged as the top healer. Though Mi's combat abilities were limited, she wasn't a fighter, but rather a support. Rumors had it that she eventually gained the power of resurrection, an almost godlike ability. Chin Lu decided that no matter the cost, he had to bring these two sisters onto his side. However, approaching them now without a strategy would just make him look desperate. Chin Lu quickly called a private detective he had worked with previously, instructing him to gather information on the sisters within 3 days. Most crucially, he wanted to know their favorite foods. Whatever you love to eat, I'll stock up on. After all, the way to a woman's heart is through her stomach. In less than the given 3 days, the detective handed over the information. Ming loved grapes, while Mi Le was fond of fish and particularly loved braised pig's trotters. Her favorite fruit was watermelon. Time flew, and it was now June 1st, with only a day left until the apocalypse. During this period, Chin Lu not only received the armor and electric batons he ordered online, but he also splurged on a heavy-duty truck, spending millions. Having prepared everything, and with just an hour to go before the apocalypse, Chin Lu called his uncle, offering the 10 billion tons of supplies he had amassed as collateral. He requested a loan of 500 million. Chin Jinan, puzzled, asked, "Why do you need so much money so urgently?" Chin Lu, making up a story, responded, "From my observations, Bitcoin is about to surge. It might even increase 10-fold or 8-fold. My 500 million could turn into 5 billion. I promise to repay you with interest. Uncle, please wait for me at home. I'll come over and discuss it in person. I also miss Brother Fei, so let's invite him over as well." Without hesitation, Chin Jinan agreed. Such a significant matter can't be discussed over the phone, and I can't just lend out money casually. I need to investigate first. After ending the call, a cold look appeared on Chin Lu's face. "You were supposed to die on the day of the apocalypse," he muttered. Passing by the security booth, Chin Lu looked at the security guard, Sudu, pondering for a moment before deciding to warn him. "Sudu, I have a bad feeling that something significant is about to happen. Please be cautious around 9 o'clock. Sudu, taken aback, nodded in acknowledgement. Inside the Chin mansion, Chin Jinan, sipping his tea, remarked to Chin Fei, "Chin Lu wants to invest in Bitcoin. Isn't he fearless? Though Bitcoin initially cost only a few cents and has now risen to over $60,000 apiece, I can tell you it doesn't have any real value. It's just a game of making a quick buck, but this deal might still be worth considering." First, we need to verify if the goods Chin Lu has are truly worth $1 billion. That's why I asked him to discuss it face to face. No sooner had he finished speaking than the doorbell rang. Opening the door, Chin Fei warmly greeted and embraced Chin Lu, leaving Chin Lu feeling a bit overwhelmed. They then began to chat over breakfast, with Chin Lu continuously boasting about how profitable investing in Bitcoin could be. However, by 9:15 a.m., a painful scream echoed from the maid's room. Qin Jinan instructed his son to check out what had happened. Chin Lu, with gleaming eyes, knew the apocalypse had arrived. "It seems you two really are destined to die today," he thought, standing up to join the investigation. Upon reaching the maid's room, Chin Fei was horrified by the sight that greeted him as he opened the door. The middle-aged maid, with disheveled hair, was bleeding from all orifices, blood streaking down her face. Seeing Chin Fei at the door, she growled and lunged at him. Chin Fei, recovering quickly, was about to shut the door to trap the now zombified maid inside, but a hand stopped him. "Cousin, didn't we come to see what's happening? How can we see if you close the door?" Speaking, Chin Lu pulled out an electric baton from his special ability space and pressed it against the back of Chin Fei's neck. Instantly, Chin Fei's body convulsed a few times before he passed out. Looking at the unconscious Chin Fei, Chin Lu swung the door open. The zombified maid inside lunged directly at Chin Fei, gnawing at him viciously. At that moment, alerted by the noise, Qin Jinan rushed in and yelled in rage. "Chin Lu, what are you doing?" But Chin Lu ignored him, swiftly turning around and extending the electric baton toward Qin Jinan. As Qin Jinan instinctively tried to block it, Chin Lu sneered, "Did you think you're insulated and immune to electricity? Trying to block an electric baton with your hand?" Chin Lu coldly watched his cousin, who was being bitten by the zombie maid, struggle and shout. "Chin Lu, Dad, save me!" Chin Lu retorted, "Stop shouting. I don't consider you my cousin. Your father is lying right there." Saying this, Chin Lu kicked away the hand that Chin Fei was trying to reach out to him with. As Chin Fei started to curse, he was interrupted by the zombie maid. Watching this bloody scene with an expressionless face, Chin Lu remarked, "Such a thrilling spectacle shouldn't be for my eyes only. Uncle, wake up!" With that, he zapped Qin Jinan with the electric baton. Qin Jinan, groggy, woke up to the horrifying sight of his son's plight and pleaded, "Chin Lu, Chin Fei is your own cousin. Please save him. I admit I secretly sabotaged your shares, but Chin Fei is innocent." Chin Lu coldly snorted, "What else? Have you done this to betray me?" Qin Shinan thought to himself in panic. Did Qinla know about the incident? Seeing Qin Jin in silence, Qinla gripped his throat. "Uncle, have you decided how to answer? Your son won't last much longer." With Qin's breath growing weaker and his cries fading, Qin Jinan roared, "Qin Lu, save Qin Fei now, and I might choose not to call the police. Otherwise, you won't escape this." Unbeknownst to Shinan, the apocalypse had already begun. He merely thought the maid had contracted a horrifying disease, or that Chino had drugged her. "You heartless beast, planning to kill your own uncle and cousin. You're worse than a dog." In response, Chino slapped him across the face. "The truly heartless one is you. My father introduced you to the Qin Corporation out of kindness, and you betrayed him. How dare you speak those words?" By this time, the zombified maid had already bitten through Qin's neck. Qin Jinan completely lost it, roaring in resentment. "I am his older brother. I contributed so much to his success, and in return, he gave me only 10% of the shares. Is he treating me like a beggar? He deserved to die. With today's technology, there's no way you can escape." Chino's eyes turned cold. Considering the share value at that time, 10% was worth 1.5 billion. Which employee gets a 1.5 billion share? You truly are an insatiable ingrate. With that, he threw Qin Jinan towards the zombified maid. "Father, you truly let the wolf into the house back then. As for your son, this is all I can do for you." After the zombies finished off the father and son, Chino adjusted the voltage of his electric baton to its highest setting and struck the maid. Accompanied by the sizzling sound of electricity, the zombified maid screamed a few times before becoming motionless. Following this, Chino took out a dagger from his space and stabbed it into the zombie's forehead, retrieving a small crystal. After the outbreak of the apocalypse, both special ability users and zombies grew a crystal in their foreheads. The size and color of these crystals varied based on the power type and strength. Fire ability users or zombies had red crystals. Wind ability users had green, and space ability users or zombies had transparent crystals. When Thunder King had awakened, his electric ability had produced a purple crystal. The zombified maid's crystal was pale white, indicating she was at the lowest level and had yet to evolve any special abilities. After storing the crystal, Chino went outside the villa intending to bring in Thunder King, but as he stepped out, a female zombie lunged at him. Chino smacked it, extending his electric baton towards the young zombie. With a zapping sound, she fell motionless to the ground. Chino commented, "This baton really comes in handy. Since Uncle granted you freedom, it's not too much to ask for a little reward, right?" Saying so, he retrieved a crystal from the young zombie's forehead. Thunder King, who had witnessed everything, was dumbstruck. "Master, how can you be so ruthless?" Seeing Thunder King's pitiable state, Chino chuckled. "Thunder King, I reckon our awakening time is near. It's not safe outside during the awakening. Come inside with me, and we'll set out once the awakening is over." After letting Thunder King out of the car and into the villa, Thunder King, seeing so many corpses for the first time, was quite frightened. He shivered and pressed close to Chino. Meanwhile, Chino casually peeled an apple. Just as he was about to take a bite, a yellow electric arc flashed over Thunder King's black fur. Chino, standing close to Thunder King, got shocked. The apple that hadn't reached his mouth fell to the ground. He was both surprised and elated. So Thunder King has awakened his ability, and yet the first one he's shocked was me. Chinla quickly stepped away to avoid getting shocked again. Electric arcs kept flashing over Thunder King's body, and pain was evident on his face. After about 10 seconds of pain, Thunder King returned to his normal state, collapsing powerlessly on the ground. Chinla looked at Thunder King with a hint of envy. The strength of an ability talent is mainly determined by two factors. First, the awakening time. The earlier, the more potent. Second, the speed of ability growth. The faster it grows, the stronger it becomes. Thunder King is clearly top tier in the electricity ability. He must also have developed his intelligence a second time. Chinla muttered to himself, "It's frustrating when a dog outdoes a human." Just then, Chinlu felt a sharp pain in his head, as if something was forming inside. A smile unconsciously appeared on his face. "Seems I'm not so bad either." Feeling the spatial ability inside him, Chino stretched out his hand and guided the force of space to his palm. The next second, he opened his eyes wide and swung his hand. The force of space slammed into the wall, leaving a crack of several inches. Thunder King, watching from the side, had eyes as big and round as saucers. Chino sighed. "That one spatial ball attack used up a quarter of my ability energy, yet its offensive power wasn't enough to even instantly kill the weakest of zombies. It seems I need to absorb crystals to level up." Chino immediately took out the 2 crystals he had just acquired and held them tightly, beginning to absorb their energy. In this apocalyptic world, ability users were ranked from levels 1 to 10. Above level 10 was King level. In his previous life, both Thunder King and Spirit Flame Princess were at King level. He himself was also at King level, but after absorbing Thunder King's crystal in that past life, he ascended from King level to another unknown level. He wasn't sure what that level was because later he couldn't bear the loneliness and chose to end his life. 5 minutes later, Chinlu had completely absorbed the power of the 2 crystals. Feeling the size of the crystal in his mind, he estimated that he would ascend to a level 2 ability user after absorbing around 20 more crystals. Having absorbed the crystals, Chino stretched his body and began teaching Thunder King how to control his newfound abilities. As expected, after listening to Chino, Thunder King tried and spat out a bolt of lightning from his mouth, electrifying everything and damaging the opposite wall. Chino, ecstatic, patted Thunder King on the head, praising him. "Good dog, you catch on fast. Let's head to the cold storage and gather supplies. As they were about to leave, Chino spotted a high-end supermarket spanning over 200 square meters and decided to stop. Look at the size of this supermarket, Thunder King. It must be packed with supplies. We should take everything and not leave anything for those wandering zombies inside. Thunder King barked in agreement. Chino then put on armor and took 2 baseball bats, heading confidently towards the supermarket entrance. He reminded Thunder King, attack when you can and avoid direct confrontations. Use your agility to dodge them. I don't really need you, but this will be good training for you. Thunder King nodded like a human would. As they approached, Chino dispatched 2 zombies with his bats. Thunder King barked and shot out a bolt of lightning, but missed, seemingly confused. Chino chuckled. It's okay, distract them for me. Thunder King, understanding, lured the zombies away. Zombies were slower than normal people, let alone Thunder King, who was extremely fast. Although Thunder King could easily outrun them, he deliberately drew their attention to help Chino get into the supermarket without distraction. Once inside, Chino marveled at the high-end items in the store. As expected from a supermarket next to a villa, everything's so premium. I won't hold back then. He then summoned the power of space and in an instant stored all the items. Before leaving, he extracted the crystals from the brains of the fallen zombies outside. He stretched and thought, it's great having spatial abilities, shopping without spending a dime. Thunder King, on the other hand, was struggling. One of the 2 zombies he had distracted was dead, but the other was still chasing him. Thunder King was wondering why he couldn't deal with the zombies as easily as his master could. Chinla stepped in and dispatched the remaining zombie with his electrified bat, then comforted Thunder King by patting his head. Don't be sad, you did great. With more time, you'll be the strongest dog. Thunder King's eyes sparkled with happiness. Leaving the villa area, Chino chose to take a less traveled route to the cold storage. As they waited at a red light, a speeding yellow car pulled up next to them. A young man leaned out of the window, anxiously asking, "Do you know what's happening? I can't get through to the police." Chino calmly replied, "Obviously, the apocalypse has begun." The young man was horrified, drenched in sweat, and desperately asked, "Can we team up? It's better to have someone to rely on." Chino coldly declined and sped away, leaving the young man behind. While Chino did plan to gather a group, he was selective. He wouldn't recruit just anyone, only the elite. At this stage, ordinary survivors have some use if they obey, but a few years later, they could only serve as cannon fodder. Even though I have a lot of resources right now, they are not infinite. I must be cautious. After all, in the apocalypse, people's intentions are unpredictable. As soon as Chino turned into a narrow path and drove a few dozen meters, he frowned. The road ahead was blocked by a runaway truck, and there were also more than 20 zombies nearby. This was the only road leading to the cold storage. Taking a detour would be too time-consuming. It seems I have to deal with them. As soon as he got out of the car, the 2 nearest zombies rushed at him. Chino casually smiled, pulling out 2 electric batons. With the sound of electricity, the 2 zombies fell dead, but he was soon surrounded by zombies. Yet he remained calm, facing the zombies attacking him, and knowing the electric baton could only zap 2 at once. After dealing with the 2 zombies ambushing him, a zombie managed to bite his armor. However, the armor protected him, and he was unharmed. Chino swung his electric baton, sending the zombie flying. This armor is made of alloy. There's no way you low-level zombies can break it. Chinla grinned. There's no one to fix your teeth in the apocalypse. Be careful, or you might lose them all and can only rely on licking. Saying this, he charged into the horde with his electric baton, but as soon as he entered, he found that the baton ran out of power. This made him slightly embarrassed. At the critical moment, Chino took out another baton from his space, easily killing all the zombies. He then extracted the crystals from inside them, signaling Thunder King to come over. Thunder King was puzzled. Weren't they headed to the cold storage? Where were they going now? Soon, Chino found the heavy truck he had parked there earlier. He excitedly told Thunder King, "This truck is even more amazing than the armor and electric baton. I kept it here just for today. Get in." I'll show you something that will blow your mind. Driving a truck is nothing like driving a car. The thick steering wheel and massive body give a sense of security. Chino, a bit unaccustomed, drove the truck to the cold storage. The electronic doors outside the cold storage were closed, but he didn't care. He stepped on the accelerator, smashing the door open. Chino really enjoyed the feeling of destruction, while Thunder King in the passenger seat was shocked, his eyes wide. The roar of the truck, combined with the noise of the door breaking, immediately attracted a large number of zombies. They rushed towards Chino. Chino smiled and sped up, crushing the hundreds of zombies, which would have been slow and power-consuming with the electric baton. At this moment, on the rooftop of the cold storage, 3 survivors were cautiously observing Chino. They were all employees of the cold storage, 2 men and a woman. Zhang Meng excitedly said, "Let's ask him to take us with him." Gutto sneered. "Why would he take risks for strangers? I think this driver is ruthless. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done what he just did. I guess he knows about the supplies in our cold storage. He'll take what he wants and leave and won't care about you at all. It's better to rely on oneself. Let's just snatch his truck. It's most reliable when it's in our own hands." At this point, Zhang Ming suddenly noticed the armor on Chino. Tom Wan-hang looked over immediately, and they were all shocked. "If we can get his equipment, we'll be safe. What do you two think? Yes, let's rob him. This kid is trying to steal supplies from the cold storage. We can't tolerate that." Zhang Meng hesitated for a moment, but then agreed. Gutta smiled and said, "Zhang Meng, use your charm to distract him. Tom Wan-hang, you, and I will take him down." At this moment, Chino was extracting crystals from the zombies when Zhang Meng suddenly appeared in front of him. "Hello. Thank you for saving us." Chino squinted at him, thinking, "Asterisk, are they going to ask me to take them away next? If I refuse, they'll resort to force." Asterisk without rushing. Chino asked, "Are you the only ones here?" "Yes. Only the 3 of us survived." Chino suddenly became wary as Gutta and Tom Wan-hang began to approach him from both sides. Sure enough, the next second, both Gutta and Tom Wan-hang made their move, each pressing down on one of Chino's shoulders. Chino sneered internally, "Asterisk, I haven't even made a move yet, but you guys are taking the initiative. You just thanked me for saving you, and now you turn on me so quickly." Asterisk. With his hands on Chino's shoulders, Gutta couldn't help but feel triumphant. "Bro, don't resist. Don't worry. We won't hurt you." Indeed, kindness is the least valuable and most harmful thing in the apocalypse, Chino thought. Seeing this scene, a fierce expression instantly appeared on Thunder King's face. Gutta and the others were taken aback. Asterisk, there's actually a dog. Asterisk, it was getting dark, so they hadn't seen clearly. Seizing the moment they were distracted by Thunder King, Chino pulled out 2 electric batons from his space and shocked the 2 individuals. Asterisk, now I'm not worried about exposing my spatial ability. After all, the dead can't talk. Rule number 1 of survival in the apocalypse: strike first, asterisk. After Chino dealt with the 2 survivors with ulterior motives, Zhang Meng was completely shocked by the turn of events and screamed in terror as she saw Chino approaching with the baton. "Don't kill me," she pleaded, turning and running toward the door. Given the life-and-death urgency, she ran surprisingly fast. In armor, Chino found it challenging to catch up. "You sure run fast, Thunder King. It's up to you." Upon receiving the command, Thunder King rushed and struck Zhang Meng from behind, knocking her down face first. Chino then finished her off. Looking at the 3 bodies, he suddenly laughed. So, it's always best to make the first move. After dealing with the hostile survivors, Chino, along with Thunder King, began raiding the place frantically. Every piece of meat, seafood, seasoning, anything edible was stashed into his space. 2 hours later, Chino finally stored all the supplies into his special space. The haul amounted to almost 60,000 tons of supplies. Chino, quite content, headed back loaded with goods. "Let's go home and rest for today. I'll continue raiding the granary later. I wonder how Sudu is doing." Chino hummed a tune as he headed for his villa. Just then, a man suddenly dashed out in front, waving to stop the vehicle. "Sir, please help. Give me a lift." Chino looked at him expressionlessly. The guy was hiding something under his clothes, most likely another person with ill intentions. Asterisk, my survival rule is to never let any threat emerge, no matter how insignificant. I simply won't allow it. There's no way I'm stopping. If you dare to block my way, I really won't hesitate to run you over. Asterisk. Seeing the truck showing no signs of slowing down, the man quickly stepped aside. As the truck was about to speed away after passing him, the man yelled at the truck, "Do you want to kill me? Wait and see if I get a chance. I'll make you pay." Hearing this, Chino's expression darkened, and he immediately stopped the truck. There was no doubt in his mind about the man's words. If given the opportunity and capability, he would surely seek revenge in the future. After all, harboring grudges in a post-apocalyptic world could be deadly. Thunder King, did you hear what he said? He said he wants to eat dog meat. Thunder King looked puzzled. Although it couldn't understand all human words, it was certain he didn't mention dog meat. Seeing Chino stop, the man menacingly approached, brandishing a wooden stick. Thunder King promptly jumped off the truck, catching the man off guard. Yet he remained undeterred. With a cold laugh, he boasted, "Watch my dog-beating technique." As he was about to strike Thunder King's head with the stick, contempt flashed in Thunder King's eyes. Asterisk, I have magic. Did you really think I'd engage in hand-to-hand combat with you? Whether or not you want to eat dog meat. If my master says you die, then you must die. Asterisk. Thunder King opened its mouth, sending a bolt of lightning at the man. Caught off guard, the man was hit. A scream echoed, and he collapsed. Chino peered out and commented, "Finish him off, but don't use the lightning power, Thunder King. Any hesitation in battle can cost you your life. Only by adapting to this apocalyptic environment can one survive." Thunder King hesitated for a moment, but under Chino's gaze, it bit down on the man's throat with its sharp teeth. After Thunder King took care of the man, Chino and Thunder King returned to the villa area. The roads inside the villa complex were too narrow for the truck to navigate, so Chino had Thunder King disembark first to attract nearby zombies. Upon receiving the order, Thunder King barked twice and left the truck. It would be just a matter of time before Thunder King could leave, and the zombies would return. Then they would serve as Chino's free vehicle security, ensuring no other survivors would approach, trying to steal or damage the truck. Chino walked to the entrance of the villa area and saw that among the two security guard zombies, Suda was not there. He sighed in relief. Fortunately, my rebirth didn't affect the turn of events. He took out an electric baton and effortlessly dealt with the few zombies he encountered. Chino began searching for Suda. I remember when the apocalypse broke out, Suda fled to the inner part of the villa area to hide. Sadly, I can't recall which villa Suda hid in, only that it was in the outer region. Seems like I'll have to use the most basic method. Chino, holding his electric baton, prepared to search. Chino shouted loudly, "Suda, where are you?" Thunder King, who had just returned, widened its eyes in astonishment. Has the master gone mad? Shouting like this would attract zombies. At that moment, Suda, inside one of the villas, heard Chino's voice. He wanted to go out to meet Chino, but was stopped by a girl next to him. "Brother Suda, don't go. That man must be crazy. Isn't he afraid of attracting zombies? He can endanger himself, but he must not endanger us." This comment shocked Suda. Indeed, it was strange. Why would bro Chino use such a dangerous method to find him? Their relationship wasn't that deep. However, Suda was still touched. He went to the window and, sure enough, saw Chino. The quiet, refined girl also came over. Coincidentally, a zombie was lured over, but Chino calmly electrocuted it. The girl was taken aback upon seeing this. Asterisk, such a powerful electric baton. If I had this for self-defense, I wouldn't be afraid of zombies. No wonder this man is so brave. Asterisk. Then Suda leaned out and shouted at Chino, "Bro Chino, I'm here." Chino spotted Suda, and a smile involuntarily crept onto his face. "Good buddy, glad you're safe." But when he saw the demure and delicate girl, Chino's expression darkened. Asterisk, how could I forget this? Underscore. Chin Jing. In my past life, she dragged both me and Suda down. She's very scheming. In the past, when we ran out of purified water and were afraid tap water might be risky, she used Suda as a guinea pig. After Suda and I teamed up, she was always trying to cozy up to both of us. Even when distributing food, she would always hide a portion first, then pretend to be starving and pitiful, deceiving Sudu out of his share, making a fool out of him. Asterisk. Remembering all this, Chino was filled with rage, wishing he could slap Qin Jing to death right then and there. But he soon calmed down. Asterisk. Now is not the time to kill Qin Jing. Killing her directly would only alienate Sudu, driving a wedge between us. Asterisk. Sudu, come with me to my place. It's better if we look out for each other. Sudu nodded in agreement. At that moment, Qin Jing hurriedly approached. Big brother Chino, my name is Qin Jing. We share the same surname. Perhaps 500 years ago, we were from the same family. However, Chino completely ignored Qin Jing and took Sudu towards his villa. This made Qin Jing grind her teeth, suppressing her discontentment, yet she followed them with a cheerful face. Asterisk. It seems I need to improve my relationship with Chino. Having two men protect me maximizes my chances of waiting for national rescue. Asterisk. Looking at the two hungry individuals, Chino walked to the fridge. Apart from 3 pieces of bread, he transferred everything else into his special space. Immediately after, Chino gave a sly smile, staring intently at Thunder King, and slapped a piece of bread on a Thunder King's behind, preparing to add some special seasoning to the bread. Then, Chino, holding 2 plates, walked over to them. This is all we have at home. Make do with it. Suda hesitated. Bro Chino, you should keep it for yourself. Chino replied, it's okay. When we get the chance, we'll get some food from the supermarket. After that, Chino looked at Qin Jing and said, you're a woman, and you eat less. Giving you 1 piece isn't unfair, right? With Qin Jing's character, she wouldn't voice any objections outwardly, but inwardly, she felt dissatisfied. Yet she also thought Chino had a point. After all, Suda needed to eat well, so he had the strength to find food for her. Thinking of this, Qin Jing didn't hesitate and stuffed the entire slice of bread into her mouth. As soon as she tasted it, Qin Jing's expression suddenly changed. There was something off about the taste of this bread. Beside her, Thunder King looked at Qin Jing with a horrified expression. You dare to eat bread that touched my butt? Witnessing this, Chino had a faint smile on his face, but deep inside, he was immensely pleased. Asterisk. It's an honor for you to taste the flavor of Thunder King's behind. However, I still need to get rid of Qin Jing soon. Otherwise, many things will be inconvenient. Asterisk. With that thought, Chino said gravely, there are zombies everywhere now, and food is scarce. We need to find a way to get more supplies from the supermarket at the entrance. Suda confidently responded, Bro Chino, you just focus on zapping with that electric baton. As long as I'm alive, no zombie will harm you. Chino, however, shook his head, rejecting this idea. The baton, when fully charged, can only kill 4 zombies, and there are far more than that near the supermarket. I have a better plan. Saying this, Chino pointed at Qin Jing. Little sister, you're petite and presumably fast. You distract the zombies while Sudu and I get the supplies from the supermarket. Then we'll regroup back home. This left Qin Jing dumbfounded. Me? Distract the zombies? Isn't that just asking for death? Facing her pale look, Chino said emotionlessly, all right, I'll distract the zombies. You and Suda get the supplies. Is that okay? Hearing this, Qin Jing replied with a whiny voice, Bro Chino, it's not that I don't want to. I've only had the slice of bread you gave me since morning. I fear I might not have the strength and end up being a burden. This made Chino slightly irritated. What can you do then? You can't just sit around doing nothing and let Sudu and me take all the risks while you reap the benefits. Qin Jing didn't expect Chino to have no chivalry and not to be a gentleman. Shouldn't taking care of women be a given? She could only look pitifully at Sudu, hoping he would speak up in her defense. Before she could, Chino coughed deliberately. I haven't had any water since morning, and my throat feels parched. It's my fault for not stocking up on bottled water. I'm not sure if the tap water is contaminated. Why don't you, Qin Jing, try it for me? If you do, I won't make you go. This made Qin Jing furious. Asterisk, you want to use me as a guinea pig? I've been so worried about the water being contaminated that I haven't dared to drink any. I do have a bottle in my backpack, but with Sudu around, I was hesitant to drink it. What if he asked me to share? I've been holding back, and I'm about to die of thirst. Asterisk. Just then, her eyes fell on Thunder King beside her, and she exclaimed with sudden realization, "That's it. We can let him try the tap water to see if it's drinkable." This made Thunder King stare at Chin Ching in bewilderment. "I may not be human, but you're truly heartless, using me as a test subject. Damn, I want to bite you." In his rage, Thunder King lunged at Chin Ching, only to be blocked by her backpack. Yet in the scuffle, he tore a hole in it, and all the snacks and water inside spilled out. Seeing a backpack full of treats, Chinlu laughed. So that's why she's been guarding this old backpack. She was hiding snacks. She probably planned to enjoy them secretly after getting rid of us. Disgusted by her actions, Chinua thought, "I won't tolerate this deception." He then pierced a drink with a straw and handed a snack to Sudu. "You must still be hungry. Take this. Once you're full, we'll get the supplies." This time, Suda didn't hesitate. He took it without a word, then shot a disdainful glance at Chin Jing. "This morning, I risked my life multiple times to rescue her, and yet she lied about not having food when she clearly did. She obviously didn't want to share. I won't be courteous with someone like that." Realizing what was happening, Chin Jing rushed forward, shouting, "Don't eat that. It's mine. Give it back." Seeing her approach, Chinua swiftly stuck out a leg, tripping her. As she fell to the ground, she began to sob. "You two men picking on a small girl like me? What kind of men are you?" Chinlu sneered at her. "Why don't you ask the zombies if they care whether you're a man or a woman?" But just this little glimpse of your true nature isn't enough for Sudu to truly grasp human behavior. I need to give Chin Ching a harsher lesson. Soon enough, he formed a plan in his mind, so Chinua stepped forward to confront Chin Ching. "Why are you crying? We need to eat to have the strength to search for supplies, right? You don't need to go this time. We'll repay you double for the food we eat." Hearing this, Chin Jing realized that no matter what, it wouldn't benefit her to confront Chinlu and Sudu. Turning against them would only push her deeper into danger. And if she died, she'd have nowhere to plead her case. Thinking of this, she quickly apologized to both of them. "I was wrong. I have this instinct because I was traumatized by hunger as a child. I know my attitude isn't right. I'm sorry, it's just my natural reaction." Then, Chin Jing spun a story about her difficult childhood. Even Chinua had to admire her for making up such a tale on the spot. "Sudu, let's rest for an hour, then head to the nearby supermarket. I'll prepare some things. You two do as you please." Suda nodded in agreement. "I'll follow your lead, Brochin." Chinlu then pretended to gather supplies, but in reality, he summoned Thunder King, asking him to lure a dozen or so zombies home. Thunder King stared in disbelief. "Master, you're joking, right? I understand, luring zombies, but bringing them into the house? I don't get it." Chinua gave Thunder King a sidelong glance. "Don't ask too much. Once we return, you'll understand." With that, Thunder King set off on his mission. Subsequently, Chinla took out 4 garlic bulbs from his special space, minced them, and placed them in 2 bowls, then brought them outside. The pungent smell made Sudu puzzled. "Brochin, why are you preparing so much garlic juice?" Hearing this, Chinlu explained with a smile. "You might not know, but when I was outside earlier, I happened to see someone wearing a string of garlic. Zombies seemed to be terrified of it and kept backing away." Chin Jing's eyes lit up. In movies, garlic does indeed work against zombies. Noticing this, Chinla became elated. "Good, they've taken the bait." Unfortunately, reality is the exact opposite of movies. The pungent smell of garlic might severely attract zombies. It's a pity we only have this much garlic at home, enough for just 2 people. We should check the supermarket to see if we can find more garlic. Just then, a horde of zombie roars came from the distance. Clearly, it wasn't just 1 or 2 of them. The noise turned Chin Jing's face pale, while Chinla looked grim. Facing this incoming horde of zombies, will you choose to face them with us? Or will you try to take this life-saving garlic juice? In the face of dozens of zombies rushing towards the villa, Chin Jing, desperate to survive, doused herself with the garlic juice first. This stunned Sudu, who had intended to share his portion with her. Although he had grown to dislike Chin Jing, he wouldn't stand by and let her die. But he never expected her to be so selfish. Seeing this, Chinua couldn't help but laugh. "See, Sudu? After the apocalypse, don't be so kind to just anyone. Some people are no longer deserving of such kindness. Realizing she had been duped again, Qinjing questioned, "But why, Qinhua? You also poured garlic on yourself." Qinhua smirked, "I didn't deceive you. You chose to pour the garlic on yourself. Let me tell you the truth. Zombies are incredibly sensitive to the smell of garlic. You're doomed." Hearing this, Qinjing broke down. "Why are you doing this to me? I just want to live. Is that wrong?" "It's not wrong, but it is wrong to continuously bully an innocent person, especially when that person is my brother. In your words, we all want to live. Is sacrificing you really so wrong?" After saying this, Qinhua had no further interest in wasting words with Qinjing. He took out a suit of armor from his special space and gave it to Sudu. Anyway, Qinjing would be dead soon, and the dead don't spill secrets. And for Sudu, Qinhua would tell him about his awakened power of space. At this moment, Qinjing finally understood where Qin's confidence came from when he poured garlic on himself. "Sudu, find a room to hide in right now. You'll only be a burden to me," Qinlu advised. Sudu agreed, knowing that with that kind of armor, zombies couldn't harm Qinhua. He would indeed only slow him down. Meanwhile, Qinjing also wanted to find a room to hide in. He immediately looked pleadingly at Qinhua. "Bro Qin, give me a break. After this, you can do whatever you want to me." Qinhua coldly snorted. "I want you dead. Once you're dead, I'll have given you a break." "Qinhua, what have I ever done to offend you? You've been targeting me since we first met." Qinjing broke down completely. In no time, he was mauled by a wave of zombies. 10 minutes later, looking at the devastation and blood stains, Qinlu felt a sense of despair. "I miscalculated my home, where I've lived. For over a decade, it's ruined." Emerging from a room, Suda looked solemnly at Qinjing's corpse. Qinlu didn't say much, motioning for Sudu to move all the zombie bodies out of the villa. They then cleaned up all the corpses. Seeing the blood stains everywhere, Qinlu really didn't feel like cleaning up. "It would be great to have a maid right now," he mused, recalling the cook he had hired Miyu. She was quite good, not only pleasant to look at but also efficient at work. However, he wasn't sure if she was alive or dead. Looking at the floor stained red with blood gave Qinlu a headache. He didn't want to mop it up himself, but also felt embarrassed to let Suda do the dirty work. With that thought, he turned his gaze to Thunder King. Qinlu fetched a few cloths and a bucket, teaching Thunder King how to pour water and wring the cloths. "Thunder King, this important task is yours. You can eat after you're done cleaning." After speaking, without checking if Thunder King was willing, he threw the cloth to Thunder King. This left Thunder King stunned on the spot. "Master, you're really something." At this moment, Suda popped his head out and suggested, "Brochin, should we go to the supermarket and get some stuff?" Qinlu waved his hand dismissively. "There's no rush for the little stuff at the nearby supermarket. I have something better. Come, let's go upstairs and have a drink." Qinlu took out a full table of food from his special space. Suda's face was filled with shock. "This is way too incredible. It just appeared out of nowhere." "Brochin, how did you do it?" Qinlu chuckled as he explained. "Sudu, have you felt any changes in your body? In the morning, I had a brief headache, but afterwards, I felt much stronger. I experienced these changes before the apocalypse. If your change is related to strength, mine is about space. I found that I could control a bit of spatial power. I had a feeling that a disaster would occur, so I stored some supplies." Hearing Qinlu's explanation, Suda nodded with a semblance of understanding. Immediately after, Qinlu poured a beer for Sudu. "I also had a premonition that we'd become brothers. Come on, let's not worry about it. Nothing's bigger than enjoying a meal." Looking at the full table of dishes, Sudu swallowed hard. "There's too much food, Brochin. We can't finish it all. Let's save some. 2 or 3 dishes are enough." Qinlu responded grandly. "It's okay if we can't finish. There's still Thunder King. He hasn't eaten yet." Thunder King, who was currently mopping the floor, didn't seem to mind. "Leftovers are fine. During my wandering days, I was grateful just to get some leftover scraps." "Thank you, Master. But seriously, is mopping the kind of task a dog should be doing?" After a satisfying meal, Qinlu took out a zombie crystal from his space and handed it to Sudu. "Here, these crystals are for you. Try absorbing their power. They can rapidly enhance your strength." Sudu curiously asked, "Where did these come from?" Chinla smiled and explained, "They were extracted from the brains of zombies." Sudu immediately looked disgusted. "That's kinda gross. Come on, let's go to the room and absorb the crystals together. If it gets too intense, stop immediately." That night, Chinlu lay in bed holding a crystal and started absorbing its energy. Strange, based on my experience from my previous life, absorbing 8 crystals at a time should be enough. Why have I absorbed 20 now? When he absorbed the 21st crystal, Chinlu felt a sudden pain in his head. Immediately after, he discovered he had leveled up. I remember it took me a full 14 days to level up in my past life. Now I've reached level 2 on the first day of the apocalypse. I feel like I can continue absorbing. I wonder what my absorption limit is this time. It wasn't until he absorbed the 40th crystal that Chinlu stopped feeling the power within him. He tried to conjure the Sword of Void, though it dissipated in less than 5 seconds. Chinlu was satisfied. In his previous life, he only mastered the Sword of Void's ability at level 7 and the Void Walk at level 9. Given his current progress, he might master it by level 4, and the Dimensional Blade, which he could only control at the King level in the future, might be developed earlier. It was his most potent weapon for assassinations and surprise attacks. With these thoughts, Chinlu quickly fell asleep. The next morning, Chinlu asked Sudu and Thunder King about their crystal absorption experiences. Sudu excitedly replied, "Bro, your method really works. I feel much stronger. I absorbed about 7 crystals." 7? That's already quite impressive. Meanwhile, Thunder King barked 9 times in a row, indicating he had consumed 9 crystals. Chinla laughed. Thank goodness it was a 99. Otherwise, you'd have to bark 99 times. Suda looked at Thunder King in astonishment. This dog is truly remarkable. He's consumed more than me. Don't underestimate Thunder King. He's very talented, Chinla said. As he spoke, Chinla took out an electric baton and armor from his space. Try this armor on. After breakfast, accompany me to the granary. The two, along with the dog, soon arrived at the truck they had parked earlier. Seeing the truck unharmed, Chinla smiled. Free guarding works well, bro. There are so many zombies. Should we take them out? Asked Sudu. Chinla stopped him. These are free laborers. Let Thunder King divert them. Thunder King then skillfully drew all the zombies away, making it look easy. This left Sudu somewhat frustrated. Why do I feel Thunder King is more useful than me? Chinla chuckled. Don't compare yourself to a dog. There are things he can do that even I can't. Everyone has their strengths, bro. What can't you do that he can? He might eat poop. Would you? Chinla teased. Thunder King, upon hearing this, barked in protest, clearly indicating, Master, you're slandering me. I don't poop. Once Thunder King got into the truck, Chinla headed towards the granary. Strangely, it was eerily silent. I made such a ruckus, and not a single survivor has called out for help. Bro, don't granaries usually have large basements? Maybe the people are hiding there and didn't hear us, suggested Sudu. Considering Sudu's words, Chinla got out of the truck and approached the pathway to the basement. Using their flashlights, they illuminated the path. Chinlu's eyes widened in shock. Not far from them lay the skeletal remains of a human. Normal zombies wouldn't clean the bones so thoroughly when they feed. They always leave some remnants. Only mutated creatures like ants or rats would clean bones to this extent. I don't know if it's ants or rats, but both are communal creatures. There must be a staggering number of them. Chinla hesitated for a moment. If they encountered a massive number of those creatures, he wasn't sure they'd come out on top. We can't take the risk. Our lives are the most important. Just as he decided to retreat, a series of squeaking sounds echoed from below. Chinla's face turned pale. Without any hesitation, he grabbed Suju and started running. That sound was unmistakably a swarm of rats. Thunder King, upon seeing a mass of shadows rushing out from the basement, was startled and sprinted away. Among the swarm, a mutated Rat King hesitated for a split second as it gazed at the fleeing Thunder King. Deciding that human flesh was more delectable, it commanded the rat horde to pursue Chinlu and Suju. Just as Chinlu reached the granary's entrance, the Rat King lunged and hit him squarely on his back with a loud thud. Pain seared through Chinlu's spine, and he uncontrollably toppled forward. Ignoring the pain, he quickly scrambled to his feet, but that slight delay allowed the rats to catch up. Looking back, they were horrified to see hundreds of rats, each one significantly larger than a regular rat, swarming towards them. Without hesitation, Chinlu pulled out his electric baton and dispatched a few of the rats lunging at him. Both Chinlu and Suju stood back to back to prevent any sneaky attacks from the rat swarm. Fortunately, the electric baton was effective against them. However, the idle Rat King was a concerning sight for Chinlu. It was a mutant in this post-apocalyptic world. While every being, be it a survivor, zombie, or mutated creature, grew stronger gradually, some rare mutants drew upon their life potential, boosting their power at the expense of their lifespan. These mutants were incredibly unlucky to encounter. The present Rat King was obviously such a mutant. There's no way it could have grown this large in just 2 days. Suddenly, the Rat King launched a surprise attack, knocking Suju to the ground. In the face of danger, Suju managed to jab the electric baton into the Rat King, but to his horror, it barely affected the creature, which merely winced in pain. It lunged at Suju, biting hard onto his armor, producing a cracking sound. The sturdy armor now bore a deep crack. One more bite, and it would breach the armor entirely, causing Suju to break into a cold sweat. In a swift move, Chinlu pulled out 2 chunks of pork from his space and threw them to the ground. The surrounding rats were instantly distracted by the meat. Seizing this chance, Chinlu approached the Rat King. He couldn't help but think if he hadn't leveled up the previous night, they'd have been doomed for sure. As Chinlu charged forward, the Rat King's eyes flashed with disdain. It wondered whether Chinlu would electrocute it first, or if it would bite Chinlu to death first. Little did it know, while Chinlu openly held the electric baton in his left hand, he had conjured a sword of void in his hidden right hand. The Rat King, about to deliver a fatal bite to Suju, suddenly sensed the looming threat of death. Turning its head, its eyes widened in shock upon seeing Chinlu, and it tried to flee. However, it was too close to escape. In a swift motion, Chinlu slashed its throat with the sword, and then extracted a crystal from the Rat King's forehead. Suju, I think its 2 front teeth might make useful weapons. I don't have the strength. Can you try prying them out? After much effort, Suju managed to retrieve the 2 large teeth. Good. Let's head to the basement. With the rat swarm dealt with, it should be safe now. Even if zombies entered, the rats would have attacked them. Upon entering the basement, Suju's face registered shock as Chinlu stored all the supplies into his spatial ability. Bro, how big is your spatial ability? It's not that big, probably around the size of this granary, Chinlu responded, then turned to Suju with a serious look. Suju, you must never speak of how much I've hoarded. No matter who asks, you can't say a word. In these end times, we can't trust anyone. Suju nodded solemnly. Don't worry, bro. I won't say a word, even if it kills me. Upon their return to the villa, Chinlu recognized that his strength wasn't enough. Today's encounter at the granary was a close call due to the mutant Rat King. He planned to level up to rank 3 at home. Given my current rate of absorbing crystals, it'll take over 3 days to reach the 3rd rank. Suju, if you're bored, you can play some single-player games upstairs. After their meal, Chinlu turned to Thunder King with a smile, hinting that dishwashing duty was now his responsibility. This left Thunder King, the dog, utterly speechless. From mopping and cleaning to now washing dishes, he thought, Master, can't you act like a human for once? You're even more demanding than a dog. Chinlu looked at Thunder King, who had just finished washing the dishes, and said, Thunder King, if I recall correctly, you leveled up to the 2nd rank yesterday, didn't you? Hearing this, Thunder King excitedly barked in affirmation, as if to say, yes, Master, I'm awesome. But what Chinlu said next dampened his enthusiasm. As the saying goes, a good dog needs to be polished to become talented. Why don't you go find some zombies to practice on and see if you can develop some new electrical skills? Dejected, Thunder King began to walk towards the door. Just as he was about to exit, Chinlu suddenly called out to him. Thunder King, hopeful, turned around, thinking that maybe his master had changed his mind or was concerned about his safety. However, Chinlu simply handed him 2 bags of trash, asking him to dispose of them on his way out. "All right, I overthought it," Thunder King seemed to lament. "Master, you really don't treat a dog like a dog, do you?" Watching Thunder King depart, Chinlu sighed. He's so high maintenance. When will he clean up and dispose of trash on his own? That's when he'll be a mature dog. I seriously need someone like Mayu to take care of daily chores. Once I level up to rank 3, I'll go find her immediately. With that in mind, Chinlu eagerly returned to his room to absorb the zombie crystals. As a wave of pain washed over him, Chinlu successfully advanced to a rank 3 power user. In my past life, it took me a month and a half to break through. Now, it's only taken 3 days, he marveled. He could feel the enhanced power within him. Compared to when he was at rank 2, his energy was significantly higher. Most importantly, the Void Sword, which previously lasted only 5 seconds, could now be sustained for 20 seconds. Now I can confidently go outside. It's the perfect time to search for Mayu and restock on crystals at that 5-star hotel. The next day, Chinlu, Suju, and Thunder King set out. In no time, the trio cleared the zombies surrounding the hotel and extracted the crystals from the zombies' brains. At that moment, a survivor from the hotel named Lu Wenba, seeing the duo's formidable fighting skills, rushed to seek their help. However, Chinlu didn't immediately respond, but instead asked, "Do you know Miyu?" Lu Wenba trembled and replied, "On the day of the disaster, there was a business meeting in the morning, and she was called to prepare dishes for it." Chinlu then grabbed Lu Wenba, instructing him to lead the way. Meanwhile, inside the cold storage, Mayu had kindly saved a group of people. But instead of showing gratitude, they not only complained that she took up too much space, but also physically assaulted her. A famous actress named Linear even suggested throwing her out to feed the zombies so that they could have more resources to survive. Hearing this, the others quickly showed their true colors and unanimously agreed. Ignoring Mayu's desperate pleas, they forcefully threw her out, even going as far as mocking her and calling her derogatory names. In utter disbelief and filled with regret, Mayu wished she hadn't opened the door for these people. "I should have let the zombies eat them and stayed safe inside the cold storage. I'm so angry I would pay any price to see them get what they deserve," she thought. However, she believed it was too late. 2 zombies detected Mayu's scent and roared, rushing toward her. As the zombies approached, Mayu closed her eyes in despair, thinking about the saying, "In the face of the apocalypse, the true nature of humans is unpredictable." Just as the situation seemed dire, Chinlu arrived in the nick of time, kicking a zombie away with force. Chinlu looked at Mayu with immense relief, saying, "Thank goodness the chef is still alive. Now I can have some good food." "Mayu, it's me, Chinlu. I came all the way here, risking my life to save you. Tell me you're moved and that you'll become my dedicated chef." Tears welled up in Mayu's eyes as she replied, "Thank you for coming to save me." Suddenly, Chinlu put his hand over her mouth, signaling her to keep quiet. "Let's deal with these zombies first, then we can catch up," he whispered. They were now surrounded by dozens of zombies. Chinlu and Suju, armed with electric batons, swiftly dispatched the nearby undead. Meanwhile, the ungrateful group inside the cold storage, upon seeing this, rejoiced, thinking that someone had come to rescue them. People began to emerge from the cold storage, trying to ingratiate themselves with Chinlu. "Thank you, heroes, for saving us," one exclaimed. "Hello, I'm Linear. It's great to meet you both." She assumed that if they were her die-hard fans, they would fawn over her like a dog. However, she was mistaken. Chinlu completely ignored them, heading straight to Mayu and helping her up. "Tell me what happened." "I'll handle it for you," he said. Noticing that Mayu was the only one outside the cold storage and nearly became zombie food, it wasn't hard for Chinlu to guess that something shady had taken place. Hearing Chinlu's words, all the pent-up grief and injustice Mayu felt came flooding out. She tearfully recounted the betrayal and the events leading up to her near-death experience. Chinlu responded with a cold laugh. "That's why it's not always good to be the good person. I only came to save Mayu because she has value. If you have no value, Who cares whether you live or die? Upon realizing that Chinlu and Mayu knew each other, Lin, one of the group, quickly tried to offer money to smooth over the incident. Young man, could you escort me home after the crisis is resolved? You can work at my company with a monthly salary of 200,000, he proposed. This enraged Suju, who was standing nearby. He loathed such ungrateful, double-dealing individuals. First, they got saved by someone else, then they tried to send that person to their death. Now they want to use money to settle the issue, he thought. In his anger, Suju slapped Lin across the face. Lu Wenbao, another survivor, watched in shock. In their city, Lin was a well-known figure. Weren't they afraid of retaliation? Suppressing his anger and covering his bruised face, Lin humbly pleaded, "Young man, you've already avenged your friend. It's true we were in the wrong. Just get us to a safe place. Name any condition you have." Chinlu dismissed Lin's plea with disdain. He was a man of principles. Once someone became his enemy and there was an opportunity to get rid of them, he wouldn't hesitate. These people have been sentenced to death in his mind. With this thought, Chinlu took a rope out of thin air. "Since you've offended someone close to me, I can forgive you once by tying you up. Whether you survive or not will depend on your luck." Lin was infuriated by this. "How is this different from killing us? Is there no law and order left in your eyes?" Suju sneered at the side. "Did you think of that when you threw her outside?" The female celebrity, in a desperate attempt to save herself, knelt in front of Chinlu, begging for her life. "If you save me, I'll do anything for you," she cried, attempting to pull down Chinlu's trousers, implying an offer of favor. This left Chinlu utterly speechless. "What's wrong with you? Why are you trying to undress someone just like that? Get away from me. You're disgusting," she responded defensively. "It's not my fault. I haven't showered in days, so of course I'm a bit dirty. You can help me clean up." Chinlu, tired of her nonsense, promptly used a smelly sock to gag her mouth. "Let's go. Let them fend for themselves," he then said, heading out of the hotel with Suju. Lu Wenbao hurriedly followed, calling out, "Big brother, I want to come with you." Chinlu turned to look at him. Picking up an iron rod from the ground, he handed it to him. "If you can go to the main street and kill 10 zombies, I'll let you come with me." The mere thought made Lu Wenbao break into a cold sweat, shaking his head in fear. Chinlu scoffed, "You're as useless as mud that can't be molded. When given a chance, you don't seize it." Before leaving, as a token of appreciation to the waiter who guided the way, Chinlu took him to a small supermarket next to the hotel. He gave him 3 minutes to shop freely and then promised to escort him back to his dormitory as a thank you. As Lu Wenbao excitedly filled his cart with supplies in the supermarket, Chinlu turned to Miyu and offered, "I'm in need of someone to handle logistics. How about you join us? Your only responsibilities would be cooking and washing dishes. In exchange, I guarantee your safety and you'll be well fed." To be a bit boastful, meeting me is the luckiest thing to happen in your life. "So, what's your answer? Would you like to come with me?" "I'm willing," Miyu replied promptly, nodding. After all, if it weren't for Chinlu, she would have already been dead. Chinlu, pleased with the response, said, "Once we've escorted that young man back, we should celebrate with a grand meal. But you'll be cooking." After safely dropping Lu Wenbao back at his dorm, half an hour later, they reached their villa. Upon their arrival, Chinlu asked Mayu about her newly awakened power. He then introduced his own power, as well as Suju's. Mayu pondered for a moment, remembering a headache she'd had on the 3rd day of the apocalypse. She hadn't paid much attention to it at the time, but Chinlu guided her to tap into that newfound strength. A second later, a flame appeared in Mayu's hand. Chinlu was astounded. A flame ability in a chef could make dishes even more delectable. "We've truly found a treasure," he thought. In just half an hour, Chinlu and Suju found themselves drooling over a lavish spread of food. After taking a bite, tears of joy streamed down Chinlu's face, confirming that seeking out Mayu had been the right decision. After the meal, Chinlu led Mayu to her room, reminding her to be cautious if she decided to take a bath, specifically warning against drinking untreated water. He handed Mayu a cell phone and a power bank to pass the time, informing her that they would stay put for the next few days to focus on enhancing their abilities. Chinlu promised to explain the upgrade method later. 3 days passed, and Chinla managed to advance to level 3 of his power. Based on his progression rate, he estimated that it would take about 10 more days to reach level 4. It was time to go out and gather more crystals to further enhance his abilities. Simultaneously, he thought of checking on Ming and Mei Lu, the two sisters. Even though it might not be the right time to recruit them, he believed it would be good to see how they were doing. After all, it's a resurrection technique. Not having such a powerful individual under one's control would be inviting divine retribution. Before setting out, Chinla gave a strict warning to Miyu. While we're gone, no matter who it is or what reason they give, don't open the door for anyone, even if they die right in front of you. Also, make sure to lock every door and window in the villa. Don't stick your head out or step outside, or you'll face the consequences. After giving his instructions, Chinlu and Suju headed to a nearby villa area and cleared out all the zombies in the vicinity. In a short span of time, they had collected over 500 zombie crystals. Seeing they had gathered a good amount, Chinlu stretched his body, preparing to head towards the apartment where the sisters Ming and Mei Lu lived. Suju, head back to the armored truck and rest. I'll take Thunder King with me and scout around the area to ensure we haven't missed any stragglers. Soon after, Chinlu arrived at the apartment building where the sisters lived. If I remember correctly, they live in Unit 2011 of this building, he thought. He then sent Thunder King up to sniff around and check if anyone was home. Thunder King barked joyfully, as if to say, "This is what a dog is supposed to do." All the chores you had me doing before, like mopping the floor, washing dishes, and taking out the trash, were definitely not meant for a dog. Just as Thunder King was about to ascend the stairs, his remaining right ear twitched. He immediately crouched low, emitting a low growl from his throat. The next second, like a rabbit, he darted into a nearby bush. A white cat sprinted out from the bush at high speed. Even though cats are generally more agile than dogs, it didn't take long for Thunder King to catch up with this particular feline. Chinlu was taken aback by the scene unfolding before him. The cat was uninfected and beautiful. It'd be nice to take it back as a pet, he thought. Immediately, he called out to Thunder King, asking him not to harm the cat. Just as he spoke, Chinlu heard a voice. "Get this stupid dog off me." He stared at the cat in disbelief, realizing that it possessed the ability for telepathic communication. What an unexpected find. I must keep it, Thunder King. How could you be so rude? Let it go. Chinla chided, though at the same time, he made sure to grab hold of the cat, fearing it might escape. Thunder King looked guilty, as if accepting all the blame. Once in Chinla's grasp, the cat didn't struggle. It looked up at him with big sky blue eyes, and a voice echoed in Chinla's mind. I didn't provoke or annoy it. Why did this dog just randomly bite me? So infuriating. Chinlu replied in agreement. Yes, so infuriating. Suddenly, the little cat seemed to sense the smell of dried fish on Chinlu. He was amazed by its ability, wondering how it knew. Was it instinct? I can give you dried fish to eat, and then you'll be my kitty. Just then, a voice from above shouted, Let go of my rice. Looking up, Chinlu was shocked to see that it was Mei Lu. The cat named Rice belongs to her, he thought. How come I never saw this cat in my past life? The sisters never mentioned it. Mei Lu came down the stairs, approaching Chinlu with her hand out, demanding, Give Rice back to me. Mei Lu quickly took the cat from Chinlu, holding it close. Observing this, Chinlu speculated, It seems the two sisters are not together right now. If Ming were here, she would never have let Mei Lu come. Swing earlier. He looked incredibly cool. She let Chino take her hand and lead her downstairs. Down alone, relieved, Mei holding the cat didn't want to linger outside any longer than necessary. She quickly thanked Chino and was about to leave when Rice started struggling in her arms. Let me go, he has dried fish. I want the dried fish. He's not a bad person if he has dried fish, Rice said. Confused, Mei thought, what kind of weird logic is that? Rice, having escaped from Mei's grasp, looked pitifully at Chino. I haven't had dried fish in over a week. Can you give me some? Considering this, Chino thought it might be an opportunity to ally with Mei. His plan was to collaborate since both Ming and Mei weren't just pretty faces. One possessed a top-tier flame ability, and the other had a light power that could resurrect people. With that in mind, Chino smiled and picked up Rice. There's a supermarket nearby that should have dried fish. Should we go there? Perhaps we could team up to find supplies. May's initial reaction was to refuse. The idea of venturing out with two strangers seemed perilous. However, Rice convinced her, citing that he didn't sense any ill intent from Chino. This left May conflicted. Seeing her hesitation, Rice said with a huff, "If you don't want to go, then don't. I'll go with him. You can wait at home for me to bring back food." Rice's words made May blush. For the past week, they had relied on Rice's small and agile frame to get supplies from outside. So she agreed and told Chino to wait while she got her gear. In a moment, May returned wearing a purple helmet and armed with a rolling pin. Seeing her unusual attire, Chino almost choked. He then introduced his own companions. "This is my buddy Suju. Think of him as a warrior. And this dog is also my partner, Thunder King. He's an electric mage. You can call him Thunder King. I'm Chino, a spatial power user. What about you?" Upon hearing this, May replied, "You already know about Rice's ability to communicate with humans. I've also suddenly acquired a special power. I'm akin to a priest in video games." No sooner had she spoken than a group of zombies began to surround them. Chino quickly warned everyone to be cautious. May, who was at the back, initially panicked but soon regained her composure. She directly amplified the strength of both Chino and Suju. Feeling the surge of power within him, Chino was amazed. Truly an incredibly rare light power. At level 1, she could amplify strength by a third. With May's boost, Suju began to dispatch the zombies effortlessly. However, a large zombie rushed toward May, and Chino shouted for her to get out of the way. But May stood her ground. After all, she had never fought a zombie before and felt this might be good practice. The post-apocalyptic world requires one to adapt. May, faced with the oncoming zombie, quickly applied a strength boost to herself. Due to her lack of combat experience, she didn't dodge the zombie attack. Its sharp claws aimed for her neck, but her thick jacket shielded her from the brunt of the strike. Without hesitating any longer, May began to wildly bash the zombie with her stick, causing its head to split open. Chino, who was nearby, felt a chill watching May ferociously bash the already dead zombie. Brain matter was splattering everywhere, but she kept smashing the creature's head. Snapping back to reality, May looked at the zombie whose head she had destroyed and couldn't help but vomit. Chino handed her a tissue and a bottle of mineral water. May gave him a grateful glance, while Rice looked quite annoyed and huffed. "Are you two done? Are we going to get that dried fish or not?" Half an hour later, after Chino had dealt with the zombies on the supermarket's second floor, he instructed May to grab as many supplies as she could. Rice had already found the dried fish snacks in the snack area and pleaded with Chino to help open the packaging. Looking at the little cat, Chino began to ponder. He always felt that this cat had other secrets, not just an awakened psychic ability. After all, such a unique ability like mental communication isn't something a novice in psychic powers could master. With such a rare cat, he definitely needed to recruit it into his team. With this thought, Chino offered Rice the dried fish and tempted him. "This fish isn't fresh. Eat sparingly. I have fresh fish. Come with me later, and I'll make you braised fish." Hearing this, Rice became excited. On the other side, May, who was gathering supplies, was completely unaware of a mutated zombie sneaking up behind her. Sensing the danger, Thunder King quickly yelled out a warning and rushed towards May. Hearing Thunder King's alarm, May instinctively turned around, her face turning pale with terror. Collapsing to the ground, she saw a 2-meter-tall, obese zombie before her. May tried to flee, but tripped over 2 large bags of food she had packed. Seeing this, the obese zombie smirked. "I'm so hungry. I'll eat you up." May scrambled up without hesitation, hurled the 2 large bags of food at the zombie, and turned to flee, only to run directly into the arriving Chino. At the first glance of the obese zombie, Chino's pupils contracted. This was another mutated zombie, specifically the most common type known as Devourers. Not only do they possess great strength and defense, but they can also use body slam attacks and even self-detonate. Judging by its size, it must be a level 3 zombie. Thinking this, Chino pulled May behind him. "Stay behind me, Don't be afraid. I'm here." Hearing these words from Chino, Mei's racing heart miraculously began to calm. Looking at Chino, shielding her, she felt an indescribable sense of security. Just then, Thunder King arrived in the nick of time, unleashing a bolt of lightning to ambush the obese zombie from behind. The ambushed zombie, infuriated, turned and roared at Thunder King. Seizing this opportunity, Chino brandished his void sword, slashing at the obese zombie. Accompanied by a cracking sound, the obese zombie was cleaved in two. It didn't even get the chance to use its self-detonation skill before falling apart on the ground. Chino quickly shielded Mei with his body, telling her to close her eyes and not look at the corpse. Hearing his voice, Mei involuntarily closed her eyes. At that moment, the only thing in her mind was the scene of Chino's sword. When she opened her eyes again, Mei couldn't help but look at Chino, thinking, "How did I never notice before how handsome brother Chino is?" Chino looked at her, puzzled. As they gazed at each other for a moment, Mei's face inexplicably turned red. This caught Chino by surprise. He never expected that the appearance of the obese zombie would lead to a classic hero saves the damsel moment. Although it's a bit cliche, the effect was really good. Thinking of this, Chino decided to strike while the iron was hot, inviting Mei to join his team. Mei nodded with a blushing face. "In that case, come to my house later, and we can all have dinner together." Hearing this, Mei felt a bit torn. She really wanted to go, but her sister had gone out to find supplies and hadn't come back yet. If her sister suddenly returned and couldn't find her, she'd be very worried. "Brother Chino, I'll go after my sister returns," she said. But as soon as she spoke, rice next to them showed its displeasure. "You shouldn't refuse. After all, Chino promised to make me braised fish. No matter what, you have to come with me today. Didn't you leave a note at home? Ming will see it and won't worry. Plus, I have a feeling Ming won't come back today. I want to eat fish." Hearing Rice's words left Mei feeling a bit dizzy and overwhelmed. Having no choice, she reluctantly agreed. Looking at the delicious dishes, Mei and Rice were drooling. They hadn't tasted such delicious food in a long time. After eating, Mei said goodbye to Chino, preparing to go home. But how could Chino easily let go of Mei, a top-tier assistant? So he used the excuse that it's too dangerous for her to be alone, suggesting that he, Suju, and Sister Yu move to her place. It would be good for them to take care of each other. The reason Chino wanted to do this was mainly to recruit Mei's twin sister into the team. Hearing this, Mei happily agreed. This isn't about looking out for each other. Clearly, it's big brother Chino looking out for me. With that, everyone started packing and preparing to move. In no time, Chino and the others were ready, and they drove a heavy truck to the foot of Mei's building. Her place had 4 rooms and a living room, just big enough for everyone if no one minded. Chino took out 2 watermelons from his space and cut them for everyone. This moved Mei deeply. The outside world is so dangerous now. Big brother Chino is protecting me. He not only gave me delicious meals, but also brought light in a power outage each night. And my favorite watermelon. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but hug Chino. "Brother Chino, I feel that the luckiest thing in my life is meeting you." Being hugged like this, Chino secretly felt pleased inside. "It's all thanks to my darn charm. It's a pity I only met Mei today. I can't rush to eat hot tofu. Otherwise, my ugly face would have been exposed." Thinking of this, he started to comfort Mei. "In the future, we're all teammates, helping each other as we should. No need to be so formal. Do you want to eat some watermelon before hugging me again?" Hearing this, Mei's face turned red. She ate the watermelon in small bites, her face flushed, trying to hide her embarrassment. After finishing the watermelon, Mei began to assign rooms to everyone. "Sister Yu, you stay here. This room was for classmates who occasionally visited. Brother Suju, this room is where my sister paints. Just move a bed in, and it's good to go. Brother Chino, this is my sister's room. You can stay here." This made Chino a bit puzzled. If he stayed in Ming's room, where would Ming stay when she returned? Never mind, let's just settle down first. With that in mind, Chino took out some zombie crystals from his space. After teaching Mei how to use them, he bid her good night and went to his room. But as soon as he opened the door, he saw Rice waiting for him on the bed, even casting him a flirtatious glance. "You devil, Why did you come so late?" This left Chino speechless. Rice and Thunder King, although they had increased intelligence, had never received education. They didn't really understand the meaning behind those words. Rice just thought it was fun. So when Chino entered, he teased, "I'll sleep with you tonight, and with May tomorrow," Rice said, rubbing against Chino's hand. "You're really a flirtatious cat, knowing how to share love equally," Chino said, picking up Rice and petting him vigorously. Rice was indeed lovable, good-looking and sweet-talking. "Well, I'll pamper you all tonight. Let's cultivate together." Having said that, Chino took out the crystals and absorbed them with Rice. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ming was clearing zombies on the road, hurrying home. Accompanying her were two of her classmates. However, these two inept teammates kept hiding behind her out of fear, and she had to protect them from time to time. It was exhausting for her. Whenever they encountered zombies, they'd push Ming forward to deal with them. This infuriated her beyond measure. Although her flame ability was potent, the consumption of energy was immense. Even after advancing to level 2, she couldn't deal with multiple zombies consecutively. Looking at the two cowardly teammates hiding in the bushes, Ming couldn't help but think of her younger sister. "If I'm struggling so much to survive, how can my delicate little sister cope? Did she starve to death at home? Or was she eaten by zombies when she went out to find supplies?" As the zombies were cleared, the two cowardly teammates cheerfully emerged from the bushes, and the group continued on. In her heart, Ming prayed, "May, if you're still alive, please hold on. I save a piece of chocolate just for you." On the other side, Chino and his team were preparing for a barbecue night. Just as Chino was about to ask Suju and May what skewers they wanted, shouts came from downstairs. May was shaking, and a look of immense joy appeared on her face. Excitedly, she exclaimed, "It's my sister! My sister is back!" Saying this, she dashed downstairs. Witnessing this, Chino murmured to himself, "After a long wait, I finally met you, Ming." He then followed May. Seeing the two sisters embrace, he felt reassured. "It's touching," he thought. But as this sentiment settled, Chino suddenly noticed the two dimwits nearby, wondering where on earth they had come from. Xin Jiang and Wang Xinwu looked excitedly at May, their faces alight with anticipation. The two quickly exchanged glances. Ming, the campus belle, has a sister, and May is no less beautiful. It was worth accompanying her all the way from school for so long. Yeah, if we can get close to these two sisters, it would be a dream come true. The sudden appearance of Chino put Xi and Xiang and Wang Xinwu on alert. Who is he? Why is he with May? I don't know. I've never heard of Ming having a brother. Seeing Chino, Ming also became instantly wary. Seeing her sister's reaction, May smiled and quickly introduced Chino. Hearing this, Ming had an epiphany. Oh, I see. That's why May looks so well taken care of. He really has done a good job with her. Meanwhile, in their minds, Xi and Xiang and Wang Xinwu decided to take the initiative and woo May. After all, Ming had been distant towards them throughout their journey. Thinking this, Wang Xinwu made the first move, pulling out a crumpled piece of bread and offering it to May. Seeing this, Xi and Xiang hurriedly pushed Wang Xinwu aside and presented May with a sausage. "May, don't be shy with us. Look, I also have some grilled sausages for you." Xi and Xiang looked at Wang Xinwu in astonishment, thinking, "You're going all out, aren't you?" The supermarkets outside are all full of zombies. Getting these supplies was extremely hard. However, May decisively declined their offers. She could eat and drink whatever she wanted every day. Why would she care for their measly bread and sausage? Even if Chino wasn't around, she wouldn't accept things from strangers. Chino, watching from the side, couldn't help but think these two guys. Their attempts at flirting are so obvious. But I've already decided how to get rid of them. Daring to vie with me for someone's affection is a death wish. Ming, seeing the two trying to woo her sister, knew exactly what they were thinking. She mentally cursed herself for ever getting involved with such burdens. I can't let them be a burden to me and my sister any longer. After a farewell meal later, we should all go our separate ways. Thinking of this, she motioned for everyone to head upstairs. Hearing this, the two men made a face as if they were pigs still fantasizing about living together with the campus belle. Ming then inquired tentatively, "Do we still have food at home?" Chino thought, "Of course, we have food, but only if you, Ming, listen to me and join me. Otherwise, there's nothing for you." As soon as they entered the house, Chino asked Sister Yu to cook some rice. After all, it's May's sister. He couldn't be too stingy. "I'll offer some rice for you all," he said. This made Miyu puzzled. "I thought we were having a barbecue. Why suddenly change to rice?" When Rice saw the group, he immediately understood Chino's intentions. As soon as Xin Xiang and Wang Xinwu entered the house, they rushed into the kitchen. Seeing Miyu pouring purified water into the rice cooker, without a word, they grabbed the water bucket from him, hoisted it up, and began to drink directly from it. Miyu looked at their disgraceful behavior and immediately felt repulsed. "Can't you pour it into a bowl to drink? How will others use it if you drink like this?" However, the two were indifferent. "Do you know how hard our journey here was? What's the big deal about drinking some water?" This made Chino even more eager to get rid of them. After quenching their thirst, Wang Xinwu and Xin Xiang left the kitchen, surveying the environment approvingly. Worthy of the campus belle's house, it's spacious, and the interior design is stylish. It's just a pity there's another guy here. At that moment, Xin Xiang suddenly paused, his eyes locked on a Thunder King, the dog lying under the couch. Both of their mouths watered, wanting to eat the dog. They began to act self-righteously and started lecturing Chino. "Bro, no offense, but people are struggling to survive in these times. Why are you keeping a dog? I heard you say you only have a bit of rice left. What will you do after it's finished? Take our advice and slaughter this dog. It would not only save food, but also feed everyone." Thunder King, hearing this, immediately glared at them menacingly, causing them to be taken aback. "Bro, this dog is too aggressive. What if it harms someone? It's better to cook it and improve everyone's meal." Upon hearing this, Chino immediately wanted to get rid of them. "How dare they think of harming my dog?" His usually cheerful face instantly turned cold. "I indeed don't have extra food to feed a dog, but it seems I have to feed 2 dogs here. You two better get lost before I lose my temper." Upon hearing this, Xin Xiang became furiously embarrassed. "Pretty boy, have you ever fought a zombie? How dare you talk to me like this?" Chino was taken aback. "Fight with zombies? This guy is too perverted. It seems as long as one has courage, even zombies need maternity leave. I indeed haven't fought zombies." As soon as he finished, Xin Xiang snorted coldly. "I knew it. You're just a pretty boy hiding at home." Then he turned to Ming and continued, "Ming, we've been with you all the way. We've suffered so much, faced countless dangers. Don't you know how hard it is to survive? This guy is wasting food on a dog. Isn't that a waste?" Wang Xinwu chimed in. "You know what we've been eating on our way here? Besides, the end of the world is not a suitable time to keep dogs. Why not eat it to improve our meals?" Ming, disgusted by their behavior, shouted, "You two bastards, shut up. Do you think I don't know what filthy thoughts you've been harboring throughout our journey? All you've done is hide behind me. I initially thought we'd have a farewell meal together, but it seems there's no need now. Get out right now. From now on, everyone fends for themselves, and we won't interfere with each other." Upon hearing this, Xin Xiang and Wang Xinwu were furious. They hadn't expected Ming to break off ties with them. "Ming, have you no conscience? We risked our lives to protect you and even help you find your sister. And now you're just abandoning us?" Ming laughed coldly. "It's laughable. Every time we encountered zombies, you push me to the front. Who is really protecting whom?" Hearing Ming reveal their true colors, an infuriated Xin Xiang began cursing at her. Ming didn't bother to argue with them and waited for them to leave, before telling them to leave immediately. Before leaving, the two didn't forget to throw out threats. On the side, Chino petted Thunder King's head, signaling him to follow them out and deal with them. In this apocalyptic world, human nature is hard to predict. Thunder King nodded in agreement and quickly followed the two downstairs. Seeing this, Ming was puzzled. Is this dog being sent to deliver dog meat? Xin Xiang and Wang Xinwu continued their rant downstairs, planning revenge. Little did they know, they were nearing the end of their lives. Suddenly, there was a noise behind them. To their surprise, it was Thunder King. Just as they thought they could feast on dog meat tonight, Thunder King spat out 5 bolts of lightning. Before they could react, they were electrocuted to death. Having dealt with the two, Thunder King lifted his head and hurried back home. What? You thought you could eat dog meat with that level of skill? Pathetic trash. Back home, after Ming finished a pot full of rice, she looked at Chino apologetically. I've consumed all the rice, but don't worry. Whatever I've eaten from you now, I'll repay you doubly in the future. Chino simply responded with an "oh" and asked if she was full. After receiving a positive answer, Chino turned to Miyu and said, Sister Yu, we won't have a barbecue today. Let's make mayo tofu, hand-torn cabbage, spicy shredded potatoes, boiled beef slices, spicy diced chicken, braised prawns, and spicy crab beef. As for soup, let's make tomato and egg soup. Hearing this, Ming was puzzled. Chino gestured for Mei to come over. Mei, come with me. I have something to discuss with you. Mei nodded and followed Chino to a room, which made Ming frown in suspicion. A man and a woman, alone in a room? What is Chino up to? Is he planning to make a move on her sister right in front of me? As they entered the room, Chino quickly cornered Mei, placing one hand on the wall beside her. The intimate gesture made Mei blush. Chino looked at her affectionately. Being with your brother, you don't have to worry about food or drinks, right? Mei nodded. You feel safe and protected, right? She nodded again, her face turning even redder. Chino smiled at her. It's because you're obedient, gentle, and capable that I treat you well. But does your sister listen to me? Mei pondered. Her sister was always independent and hardly knew Chino. She wouldn't just listen to him. Seeing Mei lost in thought, Chino continued. Mei, if you had to choose a leader between me and your sister, who would better lead us to survive in this world? Without hesitation, Mei responded, Of course it's you, Brother Chino. Since meeting you, I've never gone hungry again. If my sister can't even take care of herself, how can she lead the rest of us? Chino chuckled. So, we must first get your sister to... He initially wanted to say be trained to obey, but he stopped, thinking it sounded too sinister and didn't want to come off as a creep. Mei looked at Chino puzzled as he suddenly stopped speaking. What do you mean by we must? She asked, her expression full of confusion. Chino felt a rush of awkwardness, causing sweat to form on his brow. Clearing his throat, he said earnestly, We must get her to listen to me. Otherwise, in crucial moments, disagreements between your sister and me might put us all in danger. Mei nodded in agreement, seeing the logic in his words. So until she listens to me, I won't share my supplies with her. She'll have to watch us eat. Chino patted Mei's shoulder. Whenever she starts listening, she can eat. Remember, we're doing this for her good. Having been somewhat brainwashed by Chino, Mei echoed, Yes, it's all for my sister's sake. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, Ming was shocked to see Miyu preparing a vast amount of food. She hurriedly advised her to conserve supplies, but Miyu ignored her, stating that Chino had instructed her to cook all this. How much she cooked was her decision. Hearing this, Ming went straight to Chino, urging him to be more frugal. Otherwise, there'd be nothing left to eat tomorrow. Chino remained unfazed. Today, you reunited with Mei. It's a happy occasion and deserves celebration. Besides, these are my supplies, so it's none of your business. Ming was taken aback. She had never seen anyone be so extravagant during the apocalypse. Looking at the feast, she sighed, regretting eating so much earlier. Although full, she couldn't resist joining them for the delectable dishes. As Ming took a seat at the dining table, Chino asked her in surprise, What are you doing sitting here? This infuriated Ming, and she retorted, Where I sit is none of your business. Mei could only silently apologize to her sister. For her sister's future, she'd have to endure some discomfort. We're about to start eating. It's not appropriate for you to sit here. Of course, if you want to watch us eat, feel free to stay. Upon hearing Chino's words, Ming's face was filled with disbelief. What do you mean? Don't I have a share of the food? Chino responded that the sumptuous feast laid out on the table wasn't for her. Furious, Ming exclaimed, Didn't you say this was to celebrate my reunion with Mei? Yes, I did, Chino replied coolly. But I never said you'd be joining us for the meal. You're not part of our team. Only those who are with me get to enjoy the delicacies I've risked my life to bring back. Turning to Mei, he asked, Aren't you with me? Mei bashfully nodded. Yes, I am with you. Chino, Swaju, Sister Yu. And even Thunder King the dog and Rice the cat all echoed their allegiance to Chino. Chino looked at Ming triumphantly. See, only those loyal to me get to eat my food. Since you're not with us, why should you have any right to eat with us? Unless you two decide to follow me and call me brother, you can't share our meal. Ming, more enraged than ever, interrupted him, slapping her hand on the table. She shouted, Chino, don't push me too far. Just for a meal? You want to humiliate me like this? Let me tell you, even if I starve, I won't take a single bite of your food. With that, she stormed off towards her room. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. It was a blatant play and humiliation. After all the hardships she'd endured to return home, she had been met with betrayal. Forced to smell the tantalizing aromas from the dishes and listen to them discuss the delectable food, she couldn't stand being in the living room any longer. She couldn't bear the scent of the food. With a cold expression, Ming retreated to her room. Just as Ming entered her room, her chest tightened with anger. On her bed was a man's underwear. Without a doubt, it belonged to Chino. Oh May, what a wonderful sister you are, she thought sarcastically. You gave away your own sister's room to a man. Just then, May peeked in, attempting to explain the situation. Hearing her words, Ming clenched her fists, grinding her teeth in anger. She held back her fury only because she had seen how Chino took care of her sister. If not for that, she would have given him a piece of her mind. May mentioned, Chino said it's okay to take a shower. Just make sure you don't swallow any water. If you feel uncomfortable, you can rinse off quickly. Nodding, Ming told her to go back to her meal. While showering, Ming couldn't understand how she had become so isolated. Rice's behavior was understandable. Cats were known to be fickle. As the saying goes, with treats, they recognize their master. But she was deeply hurt that even May seemed to have traded her loyalty for food. Eat all you want now, she thought. Once the fridge is empty, May and Rice will come running back to me. Just wait and see who has the last laugh. When she finished her shower and heard Chino distributing grapes for dessert, her mouth watered uncontrollably. Of all the fruits, why did he have to choose my favorite grapes? I want some so badly. Shaking her head, she tried to distract herself from the craving. Coming out, Ming called May to her room. She wanted to understand everything that had happened recently. How Chino acquired the supplies, what kind of spell he had cast over everyone, especially her sister. May, on the other hand, saw this as an opportunity to persuade Ming to listen to Chino. Chino, who was nearby, unabashedly admired Ming's figure. Even a brief glance at her seemed tempting to tease her. He waved some grapes in front of her. Fuming, Ming was sure he was doing this on purpose. Once inside the room, Ming pushed May onto the bed, glaring at her. Why are you siding with a stranger over your own sister? What was that earlier? Why didn't you stand up for me? May pleaded while trying to reason with Ming. Sister, I did what I did for the good of all of us. If we're going to form a team, we'll need a leader to avoid disputes during dangerous times. Among us, Chino is the most suitable candidate. That's why I didn't support you at first. Chino was just worried you wouldn't cooperate, which is why he resorted to such tactics to corner you. Besides, he discussed it with me beforehand, and I agreed with him. Hearing May's explanation, Ming suspected that her sister had been brainwashed by Chino. If he shows his competence, I'd naturally listen to him. But using such trivial methods, does he think he can make me surrender just by offering a meal? She retorted. Upon hearing this, May felt frustrated and asked Ming about her plans. A continued standoff wouldn't be helpful, May pointed out. Ming stated that unless Chino showcased his prowess, she wouldn't back down. Let's have a duel. The winner will lead. If he's so sure of himself, let him prove it. Saying so, Ming grabbed her jacket, heading decisively towards the door. Panicking, May asked, "Where are you going?" "I'm going to search for some food within the community," Ming replied. "But it's getting dark. What if something dangerous happens?" "Chino, can you please talk some sense into her?" May pleaded. Chino hesitated. "Sorry, May, I have no grounds to stop your sister. But don't worry, let her take Rice with her. It can sense danger in advance." Rice grumbled, unhappy with the arrangement. Doesn't Ming just align herself with Chino? Women are so obstinate, it thought. Chino nudged Thunder King with his foot, signaling for him to accompany Ming. Thunder King muttered to himself, Why go out in such heat? It's annoying. Mei intervened. If that's the case, can I assist my sister? Nodding, Chino replied. Yes, but make sure you're well equipped and stay safe. Watching the duo, accompanied by a cat and a dog, leave the house, Chino sighed deeply. Ming, I never wanted to trick you this way, but you did kick but in our previous life. Just because I stole a few cabbages from you, isn't it fair to take some small revenge now? However, this couldn't go on indefinitely. A solution had to be found to bring her under control. 10 minutes later, Ming returned with a bucket of instant noodles and began to show off in front of Chino. Hearing this, Chino chuckled. I was planning to have a barbecue tonight, but since you were flaunting in front of me, I will show you what real beef noodles are like. After ordering Sister Yu to prepare beef noodles for the night, he turned his focus back to the significant issue at hand. Chino then directly invited Ming to have a serious conversation, to which Ming nodded in agreement. He began, Firstly, I admit that my behavior at noon was excessive. I shouldn't have treated you like that, and for that I apologize. Secondly, until you recognize my position as the leader, I won't be sharing my resources with you. After all, the role of a leader requires both strength and strategy. But I will prove to you that my abilities and judgment are superior to yours. First, regarding strength, let's have a duel in 3 days. If I lose, I will follow your lead from then on. Ming's eyes brightened at this proposal. Are you serious? She asked, indicating that she was willing to have the duel immediately. Chino, however, flatly refused. He explained that he wasn't in full control of his abilities and feared he might seriously injure her. Besides, he added, just wait 3 days. Once I break through to the 4th level, I will be able to crush you easily. Moreover, as you are now, you wouldn't just lose to me, you'd lose to Thunder King as well. Hearing that she was considered inferior even to a dog, Ming became furious on the spot. Are you saying I can't even beat your damn dog? This Chino is humiliating me again, comparing me to a dog. Seeing Ming in this state, Chino quickly conceded. All right. You are more formidable than Thunder King. Happy now? Just then, Thunder King suddenly became alert. The next second, there was a knock on the door, accompanied by the pleading voice of a woman. Please, Ming, give me something to eat. I haven't eaten in 2 days. Hearing this, Ming responded with a question. You haven't eaten in 2 days? Doesn't that mean you ate something 2 days ago? Chino, standing nearby, was taken aback. Such a fresh and natural response from her, he thought. The woman outside was speechless. Is this what a person says? Ming continued coldly. I have nothing for you. Leave. However, Mei felt a pang of guilt. Seeing this, Ming sternly told her, no matter how much food we give her, she will never be satisfied. When the food runs out and she comes asking again, what will you do? In this post-apocalyptic world, only the fittest survive. If she can't find food and dies, it's her own fault for being weak. Chino, hearing this, couldn't help but praise Ming. Impressive, Ming. You have a high level of awareness. Ming, however, wasn't impressed. Enough talk. In 3 days, I want to see where your confidence comes from. At this moment, Rice whispered to Chino that the woman outside was filled with malice. Nodding, Chino held Rice close. No matter the reason for the malice, if she dares to approach, she won't be leaving. The woman, cursing under her breath, left Ming's home. That little __, Ming is so heartless, she muttered. Quickly, she informed others in the community about the incident. The people began to gossip, excitedly. Great! Ming and Mei are alive. Otherwise, it would be such a waste with their figures and looks. Dying under a pay tree would make even a ghost charming. As they spoke, a group prepared to head towards Ming's home. Upstairs, Suju witnessed this and immediately reported it to Chino. Chino responded with a cold laugh, instructing Suju, deal with that group. Just don't let them die in the corridor. We don't want to clean up the mess. Suju nodded in agreement before leaving. Mei released 2 green lights in Suju's body. One amplified his strength, and the other boosted his defense. With the buffs, Suju and Thunder King headed downstairs. He then watched the situation from the window. Ming, who was nearby, surprisingly found Chino quite handsome. She thought, I want to see if this man and dog duo are as impressive as they seem. She approached Chino, maintaining a distance of half a meter, and observed the situation below. At that moment, Suju was surrounded by 5 people. Thunder King suddenly dashed out, barking at the crowd. This excited the group, and their first thought was, "We have dog meat now." Taking advantage of their distraction, Suju ambushed one of them. The others quickly responded, attacking Suju, but their strikes didn't harm him at all. The group was taken aback, realizing Suju was also a superpowered individual. As they prepared to use their abilities against him, Thunder King unleashed a bolt of lightning at them. In no time, Suju and Thunder King had taken out the group. Upstairs, Chino was a bit surprised. Thunder King took the initiative to draw their attention. I didn't teach him that. Did he learn it on his own? Thinking this, he turned to Mei, preparing to give her a task. Mei retrieved the crystals from the foreheads of those 6 people. Mei was horrified and pointed at herself in disbelief. Chino nodded, yes. Even if you are a support, there are some things you need to experience firsthand. It's to ensure you can adapt during critical moments without affecting the battle. Hearing this, Mei looked pleadingly at Ming, hoping she'd intercede. However, Ming strongly agreed with Chino's words. Mei, this is something you will eventually have to face. It's better to get familiar with it now, when it's safe. Ming also swore in her heart, "Dear sister, I swear I'm not trying to get back at you for not backing me up at lunch. It's really for your own good." Taking the dagger handed over by Chino, Mei went downstairs with him. Facing the corpses, Mei, with a whining voice, turned to Thunder King, hoping he'd do the task for her. Thunder King promptly shook his head. This isn't a job for a dog. Gathering her courage, Mei made an incision on a corpse's forehead and extracted the crystal. Immediately, she vomited. After a few minutes, pale-faced, Mei handed over the packaged crystals to Chino. Seeing her drenched in cold sweat, he comforted her. "It's okay. You get used to it after a while. Suju used to be the same. Later, I'll ask Sister Yu to prepare braised beef noodles for you." After going upstairs, a bowl of steaming braised beef noodles was served. Ming looked at the noodles in shock. "Are you here to eat beef or beef noodles? Who eats beef noodles like this?" Chino then handed the bowl with the most beef to Mei, but she couldn't eat due to the trauma from earlier. Ming, on the side, was even more infuriated. Chino definitely did it on purpose. Ming had resisted the temptation for several days, waiting for the duel with Chino in 3 days. If she won, all the food would belong to her, but the tantalizing aroma from the side made her even more furious. "Eat, eat, eat. Let's see, what'll you eat next time? Don't I know how big my fridge is?" That evening, when Ming saw another lavish dinner on the table, she was astounded. Knowing the size of their refrigerator, she thought, it's so small, they should have emptied it in 2 meals. Rushing to the kitchen, Ming opened the fridge to discover it full of food again. "Chino, how did the fridge fill up again? When did you go out? Even if you did, you shouldn't have gotten such fresh produce," Ming questioned. Before Chino could respond, Mei interrupted. "Sister, actually, Chino has spatial abilities. He has stored enough ingredients to last for several years." This left Ming dumbfounded, feeling like a fool. Angrily, she asked Mei why she hadn't mentioned it earlier. Mei sheepishly scratched her head. "I'm sorry, sister. I was so excited that I forgot to tell you." Upon hearing this, Ming chose not to argue further. Chino turned to Ming and said, "According to our agreement, we'll have a fight in 2 days. If you lose, you'll obediently listen to me." Ming smiled. "Perhaps we can do it tomorrow. I'll try to satisfy your desire to be dominant." Ming, however, didn't take his words seriously, still fantasizing about defeating Chino and having him kneel at her feet, calling her sister. After Ming left, Chino returned to his room, preparing to use the mutated Rat King crystal he had obtained a few days ago. Reaching level 4 was crucial for him as it enabled the use of void walking, bringing a significant change to his strength and a drastic improvement in his ability to protect himself. A sharp pain in his brain signaled his successful advancement to level 4, and with more than half of the Rat King's crystal energy remaining, Chino eagerly used void walking. In an instant, he appeared outside the door, startling Thunder King, who was guarding it. "Don't be afraid, it's me," Chino said. Thunder King replied, "I'm guarding the door for you, and you scared me." The next morning, Ming looked at Chino discontentedly. Did you let your dog disturb my sleep last night to give you an advantage in our duel? Thunder King glanced resentfully at Chino, remembering the scare from the night before. Chino simply smiled. You overestimate yourself. Let's have breakfast first, then we can have our match. Ming's eyes lit up. So, we don't have to wait until tomorrow? Before that, I need to clarify something. If I win, you'll listen to me, right? Chino nodded in agreement. How about we make it more interesting? We'll stand 20 meters apart, and if I can't subdue you in 3 seconds, I lose. Ming was infuriated by this. Although she acknowledged Chino's strength, the idea that he could subdue her in 3 seconds felt like an insult. Chino was nonchalant. It's not that I underestimate you. I'm just very confident. Seeing Chino's smug face, Ming sneered internally. Once the match begins, she thought she would just turn and run. She only needed to last 3 seconds. She then asked, "What's the prize for our duel?" Hearing this, Chino smirked. It's simple. If you lose, all you need to do is bend over and let me kick you. Ming was taken aback and immediately retorted, "And if you lose, I get to kick you?" Chino waved his hand dismissively. "You can kick me to death or ask for any other demand, and I'll satisfy you. After all, with my insane void walking ability, there's no way I can lose." Ming nodded in agreement. Soon, the two of them arrived at the rooftop of the apartment complex. Sudu and M were present as witnesses to ensure that no one would deny their loss. As they prepared, Ming fixed her gaze intently on Chino, ready to dodge any move he made. She was confident she could last 3 seconds. However, to her astonishment, Chino vanished from her sight the very next second. Startled, she quickly looked around, but there was no sign of him. Suddenly, with a swift sound, Chino reappeared behind her, gripping her throat. Ming instinctively tried to counter with a judo throw, but found herself unable to move his hand. Chino then whispered into her ear, "Ming, you've lost." Realizing she had been defeated, Ming released his hand. She knew that if Chino had used a dagger instead of his hand, she would have been dead by now. Reluctantly accepting her loss, she wondered if she really had to let him kick her. At the thought, her cheeks reddened slightly. Chino chuckled and said, "Let's head downstairs for breakfast." He also apologized to her for the events of the previous days. Seeing the lavish breakfast spread out, Ming couldn't resist and began eating heartily. After breakfast, Chino called everyone for a meeting. "We are all part of a team, so we need to discuss our next steps," he said. Once everyone was seated in the living room, Chino began, "Since the apocalypse began, I believe everyone has noticed that the zombies are getting stronger. The only way to survive now is to unite, especially since food is becoming scarcer. Venturing into the horde of zombies alone to get supplies is a near-suicidal mission. Hence, survivors banding together in teams or settlements is the trend for survival. Though our small squad has individuals with significant strengths, if we face a group of 100, even if we emerge victorious, some of us would undoubtedly die, and that's an outcome I can never accept." Additionally, Chino addressed Ming and Meili. "The two of you are sisters. What would you do if someone demanded unsavory favors with society's collapse? Human desires have been unleashed. The kind of experiences two beautiful women might encounter can be imagined." Hearing this, Ming's face changed drastically. "Who dares to have such intentions towards me and my sister? I'll castrate them. That's why we can't join other teams and don't want to be bullied. We should form our own group." Nodded in agreement, understanding that there's strength in numbers during an apocalypse. Seeing no objections, Chino continued, "If everyone agrees, we should decide on a base location. From my understanding of the apocalypse, the city center is full of zombies and not suitable for our base. Any sane person would seek refuge in the suburbs, so the best place would be my villa outside the city limits." Listening to this analysis, Ming had to admit that Chino was indeed more suited to be the leader. As Ming was deep in thought, Chino, thinking of avenging past grudges, had a mischievous look. However, kicking Ming in front of everyone wasn't appropriate. Considering this, he ended the meeting and beckoned Ming to follow him. In a room with a stern face, Ming entered without waiting for Chino to speak. She blushed, turned around, and presented her behind, urging Chino to get it over with. Seeing the scene, Chino's excitement was palpable. Ming grew impatient. "Hurry up! I've been waiting here, and you're still hesitating. You have one more second, or I'll assume you've given up." As Ming began a 10-second countdown, Chino was still contemplating the best angle. Although he could avenge himself with this kick, it might cost him a potential relationship. As Ming counted down to 2, Chino knew he was out of time. Without further hesitation and with gritted teeth, he slapped Ming's behind with his hand. The surprised Ming, with a blushing face, exclaimed, "Weren't you supposed to use your foot? Why the sudden change?" Hearing this, Chino sheepishly scratched his head, admitting his oversight. "Oops, I forgot. Should we try again?" Ming was so angry she felt like pouncing on him and strangling him right there. Seeing this, Chino immediately begged for mercy. Ming, still seething, finally backed down, warning him that if he ever mentioned this incident to anyone, she would genuinely strangle him. In an attempt to placate her, Chino quickly agreed and added that he'd have to cook her favorite dish later. Ming warned him against playing any tricks on her, but then had a sudden realization. How does he know my favorite dish? Did me tell him? Seeing the table full of her favorite foods, she put this thought aside and focused on the delicious food. After their meal, Ming sincerely thanked Chino for taking care of her sister. Once everyone finished lunch, Chino advised them to pack up as they would soon head out to his large villa. Given their current dense residential location, it was easy for other survivors to rummage for supplies, and the area was not ideal for long-term habitation due to its limited visibility. Soon, everyone was ready, and they set out. As they traveled, they fought off zombies on their way to the villa. This journey also served as a training exercise for Ming and her group. Just then, distant cries for help reached their ears. Turning to the source of the sound, Chino saw a young man fervently swinging a rubber stick, fiercely holding his ground while 3 other youths were slowly retreating. Chino immediately recognized that they were under attack from poison-type zombies. The young man could have escaped if he had left his companions behind, but he didn't. Spotting Chino, the young man desperately called out for help. Impressed by his character, Chino felt this man could be a good addition to their group and ordered Thunder King to rescue them. Obeying the command, Thunder King jumped from their heavy truck, rushing toward the scene. A dazzling flash of lightning later, Thunder King had taken out a dozen zombies in mere moments, leaving onlookers like Fongu in utter shock. "This dog is way too powerful," they murmured. With the help of his friends, Fu approached Chino, deeply bowing in gratitude. "If there's anything you need from me, just let me know." Hearing this, Chino, intrigued, asked, "What were you guys doing before the apocalypse? Have any of you awakened any special abilities?" Not wanting to hide anything, they immediately began introducing themselves. "I'm Fu, the oldest among us. I awakened a physique-enhancing ability on the 3rd day. My name is Yangxian. My power is ice, and I awaken on the 5th day. I'm Le. My ability is electricity. I awaken on the 5th day as well, but I'm nowhere near as powerful as your dog. And I'm Su Long with the power of earth, able to control sand and stone. I awakened on the 7th day. The 4 of us worked for the same security company and have been comrades in arms for years. Today we went out to scavenge for supplies, but encountered a toxic-spewing zombie and nearly got wiped out." Listening to their stories, Chino didn't waste any words and directly invited them to join his team. Fonga nodded in agreement, having been looking for an opportunity to join Chino's team. Recognizing their obvious strength, especially when even their dogs seemed mightier than all 4 of them combined, teaming up with Chino would ensure their safety. Seeing their agreement, Chino promptly asked them to board the vehicle, advising that if they had no essential belongings at their previous place, they should just leave them as there were plenty of supplies in the malls and stores. Soon they arrived at the villa district. Chino arranged for them to stay in a villa close to his. Watching them leave to settle in, Ming remarked, "You have a good eye, Chino. These 4 not only have the courage to fight zombies, but also don't abandon their teammates in dire times." Nodding, Chino replied, "It's precisely that quality that made me invite them. But always be cautious and watchful." "Don't worry, bro. We understand," the group replied. They then returned to their villa. Chino retrieved everyone's luggage from his unique space, along with a bag of rice and some daily necessities. He and Suju then went to deliver these items to Fu's group. As they approached the door, they overheard the group discussing Thunder King. "It's unbelievable. One dog managed to take down a dozen zombies, and it feels like he could easily defeat us," they said. Chino cleared his throat, interrupting their conversation. He handed over the food and daily necessities, and Suju also passed them a walkie-talkie. "It'll be easier to communicate with this if needed. I'm planning to settle here for the long term. This afternoon, I'll be leading a team to scout the Villa District. Since you all have injuries, you should rest. If anything comes up, use the walkie-talkie to contact us." After lunch, Chino took Ming for a walk around the surrounding villas. This greatly upset Ming. "Why do you have to bring me along? I need to ensure Ming's safety. What if I get into trouble?" Before she could finish, Chino swiftly pulled her into some bushes, signaling her to stay quiet. Someone was approaching from a distance. A bus stopped at the edge of the villa area, and a white-haired girl stepped off. Chino immediately recognized her as Manga from their previous life. She was the ultimate bootlicker to Ming. Manga had created an all-female survivor team. While this might seem like a positive endeavor, she absolutely forbade any of her subordinates from dating or engaging in romantic activities, and those who defied this order faced severe punishments. It was hypocritical considering she herself was the #1 bootlicker. Manga didn't allow any men to approach women from her team, mainly due to her being a full-blown psychopath. Despite her crazed tendencies, she was deeply loyal to Ming, even sacrificing her life to save her. After her death, Ming took over her position as the leader and began permitting romance within the team and even allowing male survivors to join. Lost in these memories, Chino recalled, "If my memory serves me right, around this time in our previous life, Manga was here to gather supplies. She hadn't met Ming yet. However, our paths did cross. I wanted to join her team upon realizing it was all female, but she rejected me. Now, due to my presence, Ming and Manga might meet sooner than expected. Also, if I remember correctly, there's an incredibly strong ice element ability user in their team. Had she not died early, she might have become one of the top-tier king-level individuals later on." Just as he thought of this, he and Ming, hiding in the bushes, were discovered by Manga. The moment Manga laid eyes on Ming, her whole body tensed, and a peculiar emotion welled up within her. She walked directly up to Ming and greeted her. "Hello, my name is Muena. May I know your name?" Although Ming was a bit perplexed, she noticed Muena's politeness and replied courteously, "My name is Ming." No sooner had she spoken than Manga, right in front of Chino, invited Ming to join her team. However, Ming promptly declined. Chino, on the other hand, cursed inwardly, thinking she really doesn't care about me trying to poach right in front of me. Hearing Ming's refusal, Manga glanced at Chino and pointedly asked, "Is he your boyfriend?" As Ming's face turned a shade of pink and she was about to deny it, Chino bluntly retorted, "What's it to you?" With that, he turned and prepared to clear out nearby zombies with Ming, planning to return to the villa afterward. Watching the departing figures of Chino and Ming, Manga smirked internally. Asterisk, all men are inherently fickle and greedy. I must show Ming's true colors and get her to join my team. With this in mind, she ordered her subordinates to search for supplies in the nearby villas. That night, Muena approached Chino with a proposition to gather supplies from a nearby large supermarket, claiming that the goods inside would be enough to feed 100 people for 3 years. However, she warned that the store might be swarming with zombies. She wanted to collaborate with him, suggesting a 70-30 split in her favor, justifying the ratio based on her team's size and contribution. Chino was utterly baffled, sensing ulterior motives. Asterisk, isn't that the mall where Ming and I encountered the mutated zombies? The supplies there have already been taken by me. What's her game? Asterisk, he declined Manga's offer outright. Upon hearing this, Manga was fuming with rage. It never occurred to her that Chino would be so timid. She thought, how can Ming be interested in such a loser? She had originally planned to use the mall as a stage to show Chino's true colors in a crisis, and then take advantage of the situation to eliminate him. But now, with her plan foiled, she was left wondering what to do next. As she thought of this, an idea suddenly struck her. She considered seeking someone's help. Watching Manga's departing figure, Chino pondered, asterisk, could this woman be targeting me because she wants to be with me? Asterisk, in his past life, he never realized that Mwena could be so ruthless. Asterisk, if that's the case, then don't blame me for being heartless. But who should I send to deal with her? Asterisk. As he contemplated, he returned to the villa and noticed Thunder King, the dog, sleeping on the floor. He chuckled. Asterisk, who would suspect a dog? If anything goes wrong, we can blame it on Thunder King being ill. Asterisk. The next morning, Manga knocked on door 301. Bro, are you there? As her words faded, the door opened from inside. The young man known as Bro, Fong. His eyes lit up when he saw her. It's Miss Mwena. In front of you, I dare not be called Bro. Just call me Little Fong. Watching the man who resembled a bootlicker, Mwena sneered internally. If not for needing Ming and her wind power, I wouldn't even look at you. She then explained her plan to him, to use his wind ability to lure the zombies. This is to deal with that scumbag. Understand? Zhang Fong nodded in agreement. But as he was about to set his conditions, Mwena anticipated his request. Once it's done, you can join my team. Hearing this, Zhang Fong was overjoyed, looking every bit the bootlicker he was. Humming a tune, he left, thinking it was a simple task, just exposing the true colors of the scumbag. However, he remembered his friend Suju, who worked as a security guard in that villa area. Asterisk, I couldn't find him last time. Maybe I can find him now. Asterisk, using his wind ability, he lured a horde of zombies towards the villa. However, upon reaching the entrance, he was shocked to see his friend Suju standing there. He skidded to a halt, exclaiming, Suju, what are you doing here? Thunder King was ready to pounce on the uninvited Zhang Fong, but Chino held him back. With zombies closing in from behind, and without wasting time catching up, Zhang Fong quickly led them away, internally cursing Manga. Asterisk, damn her. She didn't mention my friend was in there. I can't jeopardize my friend just to join her. Asterisk. Watching Zhang Fong leave, Chino remarked, isn't that your bro? He had a tragic end in our past life. We were friends, and he helped us many times by luring zombies away, giving us time to gather supplies. Unfortunately, he met a gruesome end in a zombie's jaws. Why would he bring zombies to my villa? Before he could delve further into these thoughts, Zhang Fong, who had led the zombies away, returned. Before he could speak, Chino took the initiative. Did Manga send you with the zombies? Hearing this, Zhang Fong was taken aback. She asked you to lure the zombies here? Do others know about it? Zhang Fong awkwardly scratched his head, indicating that no one else was present except for him and Mwena. Just as Chino was about to say something, a zombie's roar echoed from a distance. Zhang Fong and Suju looked in the direction of the sound, puzzled, not knowing what it signified. Chino's face paled slightly. That sounds like a level 5 mutant zombie. Suddenly, a bus was seen approaching the residential area. Inside the bus, Mwena was directing her subordinates to charge directly into the zombie horde. Asterisk, it seems these zombies must have been lured by Zhang Fong. Good job. Asterisk, she thought. Asterisk, Ming, hang in there, wait for me, and don't get eaten by the zombies. Asterisk. In an instant, a few mindless level 1 zombies were sent flying by the bus. However, one zombie managed to dodge and stood to the side, watching coldly. It then conjured a fireball with its hands and hurled it towards the bus. With a loud bang, the rear window of the bus shattered. Women inside the bus screamed in terror. They had brought along gas cylinders, and an explosion would be catastrophic. Mwena's face turned ashen as she shouted, "Stop the bus! Everyone out!" The passengers panicked and hurriedly exited the bus. The zombie readied another fireball and hurled it towards the crowd. Mwena, seeing the danger, quickly directed everyone to concentrate their firepower on the fireball. Wielding zombie. However, their attacks seemed to have no effect. The mutant zombie then made a beeline for Manga, as if understanding the principle of capture the leader first, which left Manga in shock. Why is it coming straight for me? In a moment of desperation, she pushed one of her subordinates towards the zombie and turned to flee. This act left her companions in disbelief. They never expected their leader, Manga, to use one of them as a shield. As Manga ran, she spotted the approaching Chino and thought of using him to distract the zombie and buy herself some escape time. However, Chino smirked and said, "Miss Muena, using your own subordinates as shields during a crisis? I didn't expect this from you." As he spoke, he slapped Manga, sending her flying through the air. In disbelief, Manga wondered about Chino's surprising strength as she crash-landed next to the zombie. The zombie immediately pounced on her, biting into her. Just then, something unexpected even to Chino happened. A girl emerged from the bus, holding a burning gas cylinder. Her expression was wild with determination as she seemed intent on taking the level 5 zombie down with her. This brave girl was Shun. Seeing this, Chino couldn't help but commend her courage. "Girl, I have to admit, you've got guts." With that thought, he conjured the Void Sword, feeling that he couldn't let such a brave girl die like this. With one swing of his sword, he obliterated the level 5 mutant zombie. The scene left everyone in awe. A zombie that could have annihilated their entire group was taken down by Chino with a single move. Is he that powerful? After vanquishing the zombie, Chino looked at Shun and asked, "Why haven't you thrown away that gas cylinder? Are you waiting for it to explode?" Hearing this, Shun quickly discarded the cylinder, and an explosion reverberated. Shun knelt on the ground, covering her mouth as she sobbed. Seizing the moment of the ensuing smoke, Chino extracted a red crystal from the zombie's head. "This will be quite useful for me." He then turned his attention to Shun, offering her a hand and saying, "Stop crying. Let me help you up and comfort your sisters. We should also bury the dead." Tearfully, Shun thanked him. Chino then inquired about their future plans. At that, Shun paused her crying and looked at her fellow sisters. Indeed, the living must go on living. She pondered, casting a glance at Chino. Sensing her contemplation, Chino made his intentions clear. "If you all join my team, I guarantee that you won't starve in the foreseeable future. I'll also provide you with 50 tons of rice." How does that sound? Tempting as the offer was, Shun didn't immediately accept. She decided to discuss it with her sisters first and give Chino a response later. After a brief cleanup, everyone dispersed to their homes. Chino, meanwhile, relaxed in a villa, sipping coffee and waiting for them to come to him. Asterisk, unless someone is a complete fool, they wouldn't refuse such an offer. The only exception would be someone with great ambitions. But these girls don't seem to have ambitions, so they're bound to accept, asterisk. As expected, it wasn't long before there was a knock at the front door. Chino approached and opened it to find Shun. She informed him that there were 20 others with her who wanted to join his team. Chino nodded in agreement, but laid down some ground rules. Firstly, he began, "You must unconditionally obey my commands if you decide to join. If you don't follow orders, don't blame me for being ruthless. And just to be clear, it's not anything inappropriate that you might be thinking of. Secondly, I don't discriminate between men and women here. Everyone is treated equally in combat. Don't tell me you're afraid or unwilling to kill zombies. Thirdly, if any of you seek a partner, try to find one within our group. It's not forbidden to look outside, but the person must marry into our group and join us." The girls were taken aback by the marriage condition. "Yes, you heard right," Chino continued. "This is not just to prevent someone I've painstakingly trained from being taken away, but more importantly, to avoid any malicious individuals from learning our internal secrets which could threaten us all." Hearing Chino's explanations, the girls nodded in agreement. Pleased with their consensus, Chino assigned Shun as their temporary leader and then invited everyone in for lunch. The girls were ecstatic as they gazed upon a lavish spread. Their mouths watered at the sight of rice, stir-fried shredded potatoes, and a bottle of chili sauce for each. Meanwhile, Fongu and his 3 friends, excited by the sudden influx of girls, took their given chili sauces to woo potential partners. There were only 7 men in their group while there were over 20 girls. One of the 20 newcomers had a rare light ability. This individual, named Wang Ling, was the very girl Zhang Fang had taken an interest in. Asterisk, she awakened her powers on the 3rd day. Impressive. I'll need to keep a close eye on her in the future. Asterisk. It seemed that out of all the girls, Shun had the best potential, with the talent reaching the king level. With this in mind, Chino instructed Fongu and Sulan to stay home, as he planned to take the team out for some bonding and training the next day. If someone invades during this period, he told them, warn them if they're a minority, and if they still don't listen, then use force. If it's the majority, ignore them, and I'll deal with it when I return. Both nodded in agreement. The next day, Chino led the group to a nearby clothing market in a heavy truck. Outside the market, hundreds of zombies roamed, making it a perfect training ground. Through the walkie-talkie, Chino directed the team. Formal formation. Zhang Fong, control the number of zombies. If it exceeds 30, lead the extras away. Don't worry, bro, Zhang Fong replied. With his wind ability, he began to control the number of zombies. Sudu, who had a physical strength ability, was tasked with protecting the mages. Being their first time working together, there were many flaws in their coordination. Not only was the accuracy of their spells questionable, but the casting time was also painfully slow. A well-trained mage could cast a spell in 1 or 2 seconds, not the 5 or 6 seconds they were currently taking. Seeing the lack of coordination, Chino facepalmed. Realizing that without his leadership, the team would have been wiped out, they clearly needed more practice. Once the battle was over, everyone was exhausted. Chinla directed them into the supermarket to pick out suitable clothing. The women were overjoyed and went on a shopping spree. Chino sneakily stashed away some black stockings into his space. Unfortunately, this act didn't go unnoticed, as Ming caught him in the act. Shocked, Ming stared, wondering if Chino had some weird fetish. But then she thought, no, he isn't that perverse. Who could those stockings be for? Mealy was confused as the color didn't suit her sister's personality at all. At that moment, one of the girls discovered a supermarket within the clothing market. Since there were quite a few zombies in the market, no one had searched it yet. She was thrilled to find a lot of bottled water in the supermarket. As she was about to quench her thirst, Shin stopped her and turned to ask Chino, "Captain, can we distribute 1 bottle of water per person first?" Chino smiled and replied, 2 bottles each. With his permission, everyone eagerly opened their bottled water. Witnessing this, Mi felt uneasy. There was something she had been holding back and wanted to talk to Chinlu about. After some hesitation, Mi decided to come clean that night. As Chinlu was engrossed in a game, Mi knocked on his door asking if she could come in. Delighted, Chinlu thought to himself that this might be the opportunity he had been waiting for. Once inside, Mi blushed as she said, "Chino, there's something I've been wanting to tell you for a long time." Seemingly aware of what was coming next, Chino was not surprised when Mi confessed. "Chino, will you be my boyfriend? Do you know how long I've been waiting for this moment?" He replied, leaning in to give her a kiss. Mi shyly admitted she wasn't ready for such intimacy. However, Chino, being a bit mischievous, started to playfully complain, suggesting that given the dire state of the world, he might not live to see another day, and therefore they shouldn't wait. As Mi considered his words and began to relent, Chino was suddenly struck with the feeling of being watched. Turning around, he was horrified to find Rice staring at them with a curious expression. Annoyed, Chino promptly tossed the overly curious Rice out of the room. Rice, feeling wronged, exclaimed, "Chino, you weren't like this before." After a noise, the door was immediately locked from the inside. Rice couldn't get in no matter how much he tried. Frustrated, Rice continued scratching at the door. Meanwhile, Ming sarcastically remarked from the side, "Oh, isn't this Chino's little kitty? Why aren't you sleeping with him, and instead are out here in the living room?" Rice snorted coldly in response. "Chino is in the room bullying me. I saw how distressed Mi looked. He probably threw me out because he was afraid I'd come to her aid." Ming, puzzled, asked Rice how exactly Chinlu was bullying me. Just as the words left her mouth, realization dawned on her. Her face went through a gamut of emotions, and she impulsively wanted to rush into the room to help me. However, she was stopped by Thunder King, who said without the master's permission, no one can enter. If you want in, you must knock first. Otherwise, don't blame me if things turn ugly. Just as Ming was about to knock, she had a change of heart, thinking if Mi herself was willing, what sense does it make for me to intervene? With that thought, she turned away, sighing, "My family's prized possession has been taken by a pig." The next day, Chino instructed Sister Yu to prepare a nutritious meal for me and to serve 20 kilograms of pork for the team's lunch. Mayu, a bit puzzled, inquired, "Where's me? Is she still sleeping? She doesn't usually sleep in." Before Chinlu could reply, Ming responded sarcastically, "What do you think? She's been harmed by someone?" Chino embarrassingly stuck out his tongue. "You're very observant, big sister. Well then, I'll go prepare that nutritious meal." Saying this, Sister Yu left. Thunder King was on the side, wolfing down its breakfast. Rice, however, was lying on the couch with an air of aloofness. Feeling guilty, Chino approached Rice and said, "Hey Rice, why aren't you eating? It's not good to starve yourself." Rice hummed lightly in reply. Rice is very angry. "The consequences will be severe." Chino tentatively asked, "How severe are we talking?" "The kind that can't be appeased with a single dried fish. Treat." Chino chuckled. "What about 10? That's not enough. I need 20. All right, deal? Okay then, since you're being sincere, I forgive you. Give me a hug." Hearing this, Chino gently picked up Rice and said, "Rice, you're a mature kitty now. You should get used to sleeping on your own. After all, I'm a married man and can't cuddle you to sleep anymore." Chino set up a feast for the team, serving braised pork. The aroma of the pork attracted an old sedan from which stepped out a weary-looking brother and sister. The brother was named Lu Ming and the sister was Lui. Everyone looked at the suddenly appearing Lu Ming, who managed a faint smile and said, "Sorry to bother you all. Do you have clean water? I can trade food for it." Upon hearing this, Chinla nodded and had Shun bring over 2 bottles of mineral water. In return, Lu Ming presented 2 loaves of bread and 2 sausages. After the exchange, Lu Ming, holding on to Lei, prepared to leave. However, Louis, with longing eyes fixed on the braised pork, asked Chino if their team was recruiting. Chino, hearing this, stood up and approached them, questioning, "Are you sure you want to join?" Louis nodded affirmatively. Chino said, "All right then, go outside and kill 10 zombies. Extract the crystals from their bodies. You can use weapons, but no vehicles or other external forces. Once you've collected the crystals, come find me." As soon as Chinlu finished speaking, hearing this, Lu Ming nodded in agreement. "We'll do it right away." He then led his sister away. Watching their departing figure, Chino pondered about people with attachments like them. Them are easier to trust than lone wolves. Besides, from the looks of it, the beast siblings aren't weaklings. Otherwise, they wouldn't have survived until now. "I hope you don't disappoint me." Back in the car, Lu exclaimed, "Brother, it seems their team knows the use of the crystals. I thought they were unaware." Lu Ming chuckled. "There are many smart people out there. Moreover, the fact that he can provide meat for so many team members is truly remarkable. If he asked us to kill 10 zombies, we should kill 20 to prove ourselves." Hearing Lu Ming's words, Lu nodded in agreement. Half an hour later, Chino, looking at the crystals in their hands, welcomed them into his team. He then inquired about their awakened abilities. They introduced themselves. "I'm Lu Ming, and I awakened on the 3rd day. My sister, Lu, awakened on the 2nd day. I possess a constitution-related awakening, while my sister has darkness-based powers." Chinlu looked excitedly at the dark power in Lu's hands. He knew that darkness-based powers would get stronger with leveling up and, in the late stages, become nearly invincible. With this in mind, Chino asked Sister Yu to prepare a portion of braised pork with potatoes for the siblings. That night, Chino asked Rice to sleep with Ming, stating he had important matters to attend to with me. Rice, however, was somewhat reluctant, assuring that he would quietly watch and not interfere. This irritated Chinlu immensely. Confused, Rice watched as the furious Chino stormed off, not understanding why he was suddenly being shunned. Upon entering the room, Chino, unable to contain his excitement, immediately tried to initiate a passionate encounter with me. Me promptly declined, saying it was inappropriate and she was still sore. Chino, feeling helpless, hugged her, saying he would only be close without crossing any boundaries, and suggested, "Why don't you try using a healing spell on yourself?" This left me blushing deeply. The next morning, Chino led the team out to search for supplies. On the way, Chino began to delegate tasks. First, everyone should rely on the vehicle to clear the trailing zombies. then get out of the car to remove the vehicles blocking the road. Elemental attack. Others protect in front. Zhang Fong tried to control the number of zombies. Upon receiving the command, Zhang Fong got out of the car and lured the zombies with his wind abilities. Shun then ordered everyone to focus their attacks. In an instant, the girls opened the windows of the bus and attacked the zombies outside from the windows. Seeing this, Qinlu was very pleased. Good job. The accuracy of the spells is much better than the first day. After clearing the trailing zombies, everyone got out of the car to deal with the other approaching zombies. At the same time, they moved the vehicles, but Qinlu just stood by, quietly watching everyone take action. Just then, Rice suddenly exclaimed, "No touching! It still hurts here!" Hearing this, Qinlu was stunned. He then glared fiercely at Rice, asking him where he had heard that from. Rice said that he overheard it from the balcony last night. "Besides, you only said I shouldn't watch. You didn't say I couldn't eavesdrop." Hearing this, Qinlu was utterly speechless. "You know too much, you cat. Be careful, or I might kill the cat to silence it." Half an hour later, everyone arrived at the Yulin community. Chino instructed everyone to take a weapon and clear out the nearby zombies. He also instructed a group to first enter the restaurant to see if there were any supplies to be collected. They split into 4 groups and were told not to act alone. All the collected supplies were to be moved to the truck. Soon, rice flour, oil, and other supplies were being loaded onto the truck. Just then, one of the girls exclaimed, "Captain, come quickly. There's a supermarket over there that hasn't been looted." Upon entering the supermarket, Ming was looking for something near the cash register. This strange action caught Shun's attention. Curious, she went over and saw that Ming was holding a box of ultra-thin condoms. Seeing this, Shun's face turned red instantly. Could she and Qinla be in that kind of intimate relationship? Just then, Ming noticed Shun staring at her, and her face turned crimson as she hurriedly tried to explain. However, Shun made an excuse and quickly left, leaving Ming trembling with rage. If it wasn't for her, she wouldn't have been looking for that elsewhere. Qinla noticed that many people in the community were watching their team, but he didn't care. Then an old lady from upstairs asked Chino for a watermelon to quench her thirst. Hearing this, similar requests emerged from other rooms in the building. Qinlu was left speechless by these people. "You all really have some nerve." Qinlu flatly refused, saying that he had difficulty moving and they should come down and get it themselves. At his words, the crowd instantly became enraged. The old men and women upstairs began to curse at him. Led by one of the elderly men, a group of seniors armed with weapons rushed downstairs and surrounded Chino. "You young man, don't you know how to respect the elderly and care for the young? Didn't your family teach you any manners?" To this, Chino snorted. "A bunch of shameless old bastards. They don't dare to confront zombies, but are quick to bully people." As soon as he finished speaking, an old man started cursing at Chino. "The supermarket downstairs is owned by my brother. Where did you guys come from? Since you moved things out of it, we're keeping this truck. Be careful, or we won't be so polite." The others were preparing to seize the truck and the supplies inside. Seeing this, Chino, with an icy gaze, told the old man in front to get lost. But the old man, extremely arrogant, pointed at Chino and said, "What? You want to hit someone? Come on, hit me. I tell you, if you dare to hit, I'll lie down and won't get up. Hit me, you're afraid to, huh?" Hearing this, without saying a word, Qinlu raised his hand and slapped the old man. "In all my life, I've never seen such a demand. You're welcome." The old man was slapped so hard he flew backward, landing with a loud thud and not moving. Seeing this, the others began to talk. "Hey, are you okay? Wake up. Why isn't he moving? Is he all right? Don't worry. He used to scam people by pretending to be hurt. He's a pro. He's really good at acting." Hearing this, Qinlu was speechless. "You're all old. Is your vision not working? Didn't you see half his face is skewed? If I don't give them a hard lesson, they won't back off." Thinking this, Qinlu snapped his fingers. Immediately, a group surrounded the old men and women, who also took on an aggressive stance, declared, "I'm a grandma and I know magic. I'm a grandpa and I also know magic." Chino sneered. without making an example of them. They wouldn't disperse. The next second, a spatial orb was thrown at them. Help! Run for your lives. After dealing with this group of elders, another group emerged from the community. Chino felt a sense of recognition upon seeing one person. In his past life, when he was still weak, he used to hang out with this guy. It seems his name was Changwan. The young man named Chinan Wang held out his hands to show he meant no harm. These elders who cursed us every day, I let them be because they're neighbors. I didn't expect them to meet their end by your hand. Upon hearing this, Chino asked, "Do you seek revenge for them?" "Dude, don't get me wrong. We came here for 2 reasons. First, to make friends with you all, and second, to ask for a favor." "I am Chinan," he said, extending his hand for a handshake with Chino. "I am Chino. What kind of favor?" Hearing this, Chingan replied, "In our community, there's a zombie dog that can control lightning and possesses incredible intelligence. I hope you can help us kill it. Furthermore, there are many resources in the community that we haven't gathered. How about we split the loot?" After listening, Chinla nodded. "What's the compensation?" Chingan was taken aback for a moment, but then laughed. "How about 300 pounds of rice and 5 buckets of water?" Upon learning from the rice that this group meant no harm, Chino readily agreed. Before leaving, he instructed his team to continue loading the remaining supplies onto the truck. "Thunder King, come with me." This made Chingan slightly shocked. "Just the 2 of you? It might not be enough." Chino just smiled. "Didn't you notice I have a dog with me?" This left Chingan completely baffled. "No way, bro. This is an apocalypse, not some peaceful golden age. You've kept 2 pets and even travel with a group of ladies? It seems these ladies all listen to you. You've truly reached the pinnacle of life." At that moment, me suddenly asked, "Brother Chino, do you want me to come with you?" Chino smiled and waved his hand. "Wait for me to return." He then handed rice over to me to hold. Seeing this, envy-filled tears streamed down Chingan's face. Damn, is there any justice left? He's got a cat, a dog, and a partner. All he's missing is a feast for every meal. On the way, Chingan began to explain details about the zombie dog to Chino. After finishing his explanation, he asked if Chino had any strategies to deal with the zombie hound. Chino grinned, looking at Thunder King. Fight fire with fire, or in this case, dog with dog. Upon hearing this, a puzzled expression crossed Chingan's face. "Dude, do you have a vendetta against your pet dog or something? Since it might as well be delivering dog meat on a platter. Why not sell the dog to me instead?" However, Chino just laughed it off. Since the conversation had gone this far, Chingan no longer tried to dissuade him. Besides, the dog even nods its head. It seems quite intelligent. Thunder King then began to keenly sniff the air, moving while following a scent. Soon, Thunder King led them to the 8th floor of a building. Before even getting close, Chino could smell a strong scent of blood. Opening a door, right in front of them was the zombie dog they were searching for. Upon receiving a signal from Chino, Thunder King launched forward, using his astonishing speed to dodge the undead hound's attacks. Seeing this, the pupils of Chingan and others contracted. Such speed, Thunder King seized the opportunity during a brief lapse in the undead dog's assault to close in. Simultaneously, Thunder King charged his tail with electricity, using a newly acquired skill called Thunder Sweep. The zombie dog had no chance to evade being struck fiercely by the swift and powerful Thunder Sweep. It was sent crashing into the wall, meeting its end. That's it. Our collaboration is over. Time to hand over the promised supplies. Upon hearing Chino's words, a stunned Chingan gradually came back to his senses, staring agape at Thunder King. It felt surreal. The entire battle hadn't lasted more than 10 seconds. If it wasn't for the fact that the zombie dog also had lightning attributes and some resistance to electric powers, it probably wouldn't have lasted even that long. As Chinlu prepared to leave with his reward, Chingan stopped him, offering an invitation to team up with his squad. "How about it? Would you consider joining us? I'm not boasting, but each of us has killed at least 10 zombies. We're willing to fight and are absolutely reliable. Furthermore, we have abundant supplies, enough to last for at least 6 months." However, Chinlu was unfazed, indicating he alone could easily annihilate all of them. To put it bluntly, Have you ever seen a strong individual team up with weaker ones? If you really want to unite, you'd have to do everything under my command. I need absolute control. Hearing this, Chingon hesitated. Just then, one of his teammates rushed over, saying a zombie that can shoot fireballs had just injured Jean Leon. Seeing our numbers, it fled. Hearing this news, Chingon, leaving Chino behind, hurried to his injured comrade. Seeing Chinlu approaching, Chingon, like a drowning man clutching at a straw, pleaded for him to save his brother. Chinlu, with a smile, observing the situation, Chino signaled me to follow and check it out. Looked at me, signaling her to administer a healing spell on Jean Leon. Me nodded and, with a single spell, the critically injured Jean Leon was miraculously healed. He immediately thanked Chino and me before leaving. Chinlu reminded Chingon, "Consider my proposal carefully." With that, he and me left. Watching their departing figures, Chingon exclaimed, "Such a powerful healing spell. Guys, I discussed teaming up with Chinlu. He said we could, but on his terms. What do you think? Should we join him or decline?" Once this was spoken, the others began to voice their opinions. Chingon looked around, and seemingly no one objected. What's there even to discuss? Then if this is the case, brothers, let's join them. Soon, Chingon, with his sizable group, approached Chino, signifying that his squad was willing to follow Chino's lead. "Welcome to the team. I have just 2 conditions. Follow orders and dare to fight zombies. If you can't meet these, don't blame me for being ruthless." With that said, Chino instructed them to pack all their supplies and bring them to his main base. After all, now that we're united, it's better if we live together for mutual support. So, moving to my place is fine, right? Chingon and his team nodded in agreement. Meanwhile, a group of thugs led by Luwei was going from house to house, gathering resources with about 18 or 19 survivors in his group. Luwei had established dominance among them through his ruthless methods. Soon, they stumbled upon the villas where Chino and Shun resided. The ones on guard duty, Fangu and Sulan, noticed them first. Fangu inquired, "What should we do?" "Their numbers are significant," Chino said. "If there are too many, just pretend you didn't see them. If conflict arises with only the 2 of us, Fangu and Sulan, we won't stand a chance." Fangu, however, shook his head. "That won't work. We can't let them search our place. Our supplies are in there. Even if Chino didn't command it, we can't just stand by and watch. Let's go down and warn them. Tell them our main forces are about to return. If they don't heed the warning, we'll fight. We can then run to lure them away, buying some time. With the electric batons in our hands, we might even have a chance to strike back." Just then, they saw Chino's convoy returning to the compound. At the same time, Chino on the vehicle noticed the aggressive survivors heading straight for his villa. Seeing the main forces return, it was the perfect time to join forces. Chino remembered the leader was Luwei, a backer of Qing from his past life. Luwei was a poison ability user. The thugs wanted to rob supplies, but were stopped by Luwei, who was waiting for the right moment to ambush Chino and the others. The next second, Luwei left with his gang. Rice sensed the hostility from Luwei and warned Chino. Chino had his own plans in mind. "Don't worry, Rice." Chino swiftly unleashed a spatial sphere, instantly targeting and blowing off Luwei's head. Without hesitation, he then ordered his subordinates to finish off the rest of them. Chino entered the room alone, remembering his past life. Starting the day after tomorrow, some zombies would evolve to level 1. Let's transport the supplies back before they evolve. Chino lay on the bed, deep in thought. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Could it be Mi Li? Why is she so proactive today? Excited, Chino sat up. Unexpectedly, it was Mi Ling. She even blushed and handed Chino a small umbrella before running away in a hurry. Chino smirked. Haha, how could I not appreciate the wife-sister's kind gesture? The next day, Chino held a meeting. I think everyone has noticed that there are more and more zombies who can use magic. If one day all zombies could use magic, would you still survive? Upon hearing this, everyone started discussing. Yes, I've noticed too. It's terrifying. Exactly what should we do? Just as everyone was discussing fervently, Chino clapped his hands to interrupt them. If you all follow me, I won't let you die in vain here. Now, I'll teach everyone a method to deal with magic-wielding zombies. First, we need groups of 4. Ideally 2 warriors and 2 mages. Warriors take damage up front, and mages provide continuous output from behind. If you encounter multiple magic zombies, run. Now, I'll teach you a little trick to dodge spells. Ming and Shun, attack me with your spells. I'll dodge. Ming and Shun nodded, using their abilities to launch attacks at Chino. Yet, all their attacks were easily dodged by him. Everyone watched, mouse agape, faces full of disbelief. My god, the captain is amazing! Chino then explained, to dodge a spell, it's impossible to watch the spell and dodge. You have to watch the caster's movements to predict the spell's trajectory and move in advance to dodge the attack. This is called anticipation. As long as you pay attention to the spell's trajectory, it's easy to dodge the zombie magic. After hearing this, Ming was eager to test it out again. Chino chuckled. All right, bring it on. Little did he know, after dodging an initial fireball, he was hit by another one from behind. Ming, pleased with her success, said with glee, I anticipated your anticipation. Hearing this, Chino exclaimed, true to her name, the Spirit Flame Princess, her combat talent is indeed formidable. But everyone can be reassured, level 1 zombies definitely don't have this kind of wisdom. If you encounter one that can anticipate, just run. They are beyond your capability to resist. After dinner, everyone was instructed to go out and find opponents to start practicing this skill. Before setting out, Chino reminded everyone, listen up, today counts as half a day. 3 level 1 crystals per person. Any team that doesn't complete this will be punished as a whole. The punishment is no dinner when you return. Meanwhile, Chino led his team out to collect crystals and came across a father-daughter duo being bullied. At a glance, Mi recognized the girl as her best friend. Brother Chino, can we help them? If they were strangers, maybe not. But since she's your best friend, how can we stand by and do nothing? He then ordered Thunder King to get off the vehicle to deal with the group. The gang greedily eyed Thunder King, thinking they had dog meat delivered to their doorstep, unaware that the god of thunder and lightning had arrived. Before they could react, Meng and Suju ambushed them from behind. At this moment, electricity surged around Thunder King. You bunch of trash think you can eat dog meat? After dealing with them, everyone began introductions. Zhang Jingjing shared that she and her father had no home and wished to join Chino's team. After some thought, Chino nodded in agreement. After all, she was Mi's best friend. He told them to follow their rules and to follow them back to their base in their vehicle. Upon arriving at the villa area, Zhang Jingjing held Mi's hand and asked, Mi, can you ask Brother Chino if we can share a room tonight? We can chat and catch up. This left Chino quite speechless. He already had rice as a third wheel, and now another one? How could he possibly agree? Chino firmly declined with a cold face. No, without my permission, you cannot enter this villa. Turning to Shun, he asked her to arrange accommodations for Zhang Jingjing. Shun hurriedly took Zhang Jingjing away. At lunchtime, Zhang Jingjing curiously asked why Mi hadn't come and wondered what she had for lunch. Jingjing's comment caught the other girls off guard. We're not 3-year-olds. Apart from occasionally dining with everyone, Chino usually eats in his own villa room. As for what Chino and the others eat, how would we know? Chino is like the boss, and we're like the employees. It's always a bit uncomfortable eating with the boss, so everyone dines separately. Upon hearing this, Zhang Jingjing's face fell. Mi must be eating something better. We're such good friends, yet you didn't include me. This saddened her, making her previously delightful sausage seem less appetizing. Meanwhile, inside Chino's villa, Chino said to me, Mi, we need to observe your best friend for a while. Don't reveal anything about our things. Let's see if she's trustworthy. If she doesn't have any ulterior motives, even if she lacks abilities, I can arrange a logistical position for her. Mi nodded in agreement. Suddenly, Qing Guang's voice came through the intercom, stating that about a dozen cars had arrived at the villa's entrance with roughly 50 to 60 people. Hearing this, Chino immediately issued a series of commands, ordering everyone to assemble at the villa's entrance. Upon receiving the command, the girls promptly headed towards the villa's exterior. Before departing, Xuan asked Zhang Jingjing about her ability. I have strength-based powers, Zhang Jingjing replied. Hearing this, Xuan instructed her to stand at the front of the lineup. Zhang Jingjing immediately resisted, grabbing Lu Hui's hand. Isn't she also standing at the back? Lu Hui whispered in reply. I have support abilities. Chino said, I should stand at the back. Xuan, running out of patience, dragged Zhang Jingjing to the front. Zhang Jingjing protested tearfully. Me and I are best friends. You can't treat me like this. Seeing this scene, Mi hurriedly approached to comfort Zhang Jingjing. This is a step everyone has to go through. Don't worry, I'll boost your status. If you get injured, I can heal you. However, Zhang Jingjing was staring at the corner of Mi's mouth. Mi had a trace of white there, a remnant of the ice cream she had eaten. This detail fueled resentment in Zhang Jingjing's heart. You had such a delicious treat and didn't share with me. Moreover, I've never heard of you having a brother, but here you are constantly calling Chino brother. You must have used your charms on him. If you don't value sisterhood, don't blame me for not being courteous. At that moment, both sides were intensely confronting each other. Just then, Chino walked up from behind. Seeing him, Qing Guang immediately greeted, Big brother. The leader of the opposing group, Su, scoffed upon seeing this. So this is the impressive leader of the squad. Just a pretty boy young man. You're in charge here, right? My people haven't eaten or drunk for a day. Could you provide some assistance? Chino replied, We can't just give you supplies, but we can trade. You can exchange the crystals from the zombies' foreheads. 1 crystal for a bottle of water and a pound of rice. After all, our food is also limited. It's impossible to just give it away. Su was taken aback by Chino's statement. He hadn't expected Chino to reveal the secret of the crystals. It seemed that Chino led this group due to some superior power. With that in mind, Su decided not to feign niceties anymore. You think your group of women can stop us? That's a dream. Guys, this man wants us to kill zombies to provide us with supplies. What do you think we should do? Upon hearing this, there was a murmur of discussion behind Su. Many hoped that Chino would spare them some food, but Chino knew that if he compromised and gave them food, they would always want more. Whenever their food ran out, they'd surely come to him. It seemed that these people truly weren't afraid of death. Just then, Zhang Jingjing suddenly spoke up. In all matters, harmony is most precious. Give them a bit of what they want and let them leave. Hearing this, everyone's expressions changed. Zhang Jingjing, what nonsense are you talking about? Faced with Mi's gentle persuasion, Zhang Jingjing seemed unaffected and insisted she wasn't speaking nonsense. Why engage in a life and death battle when you can just use food to send them away? Moreover, I'm standing right in the front. What if I get hurt in a fight? Before she could finish, Su from the opposing side burst into laughter. This young beauty speaks the truth. We don't need much. Just give us a few thousand pounds of rice or flour and several tons of purified water. Unable to bear it anymore, Chino slapped Zhang Jingjing across the face. Who do you think you are? Is this your place to speak? The boss is talking here. It's one thing for the younger ones to interrupt, but it's another thing to speak on behalf of the enemy. Zhang Jingjing's father couldn't hold back anymore. He ran over and rebuked Chino. Is what my daughter said wrong? There are so many of them. What good will come from fighting? Besides, you have so much food. What's the harm in sharing a little with them? To risk your subordinates' lives over some food? Your heart is truly malicious. Mi tried to help Zhang Jingjing up, but was pushed away as Zhang Jingjing hurled curses at her. Seeing this, Chino looked displeased. He had saved them out of goodwill, yet instead of being grateful, they were causing disruption among his troops. Truly, some people are worth saving while others are not. With this thought, Chino momentarily ignored the father-daughter duo and turned to face Su. If that's what you truly want, then I'll give it to you. Having said that, before Su could react, Chino suddenly conjured a spatial orb in his hand and hurled it towards Su's head. Accompanied by a loud bang, Su's head exploded. Seeing the stunned faces of the opposing group, Chino swiftly waved his hand, issuing a command. If they wish for death, Then let's oblige. When Zhang Jingjing saw that in just a short exchange, 7 or 8 people were killed, and in no time Su's group collapsed without a leader and lacking strict command, they were easily defeated. Zhang Jingjing was dumbfounded. She had expected a bloodbath, but it ended so effortlessly. No wonder Chino was so uncompromising. Had she not intervened earlier, there might not have been any conflict at all. Thinking this, Zhang Jingjing crawled towards Chino in tears, begging for his mercy and pleading with him not to kill her. Chino chuckled. "Don't worry, you're Mi's best friend. How could I possibly? I'll kill you, but you can't stay on my team. Leave while I'm still in a good mood." Hearing this, Zhang Jingjing nodded. She knew that staying could endanger her life. Although she was resentful, she had to prioritize her safety. If I manage to get close to the boss, I can do the same, she thought. After the two departed, Lu Sully nudged Thunder King, hinting that he shouldn't leave any potential threats behind. Thunder King got the message instantly, quietly following Zhang Jingjing from a distance. At that moment, Qinggang rushed over and said, "Bro Qin, a young man who just left mentioned he has urgent business with you." He seemed quite anxious. Chino nodded in acknowledgement and then approached the young man to ask about his business. The young man, Lang Qin, said with a sheepish grin, "Boss, are you recruiting? I want to join you." Upon hearing that, Chino's face instantly turned cold. "This is the important matter you spoke of?" Lan Qin, frightened, quickly pulled out a blue crystal. Chino's pupils constricted upon seeing it. "It's a level 6 crystal. How did you get this?" Lan Qin truthfully responded, "I obtained it from a dead monster. The creature was over 10 meters tall. Consider this our greeting gift to you, boss. What do you think?" Upon hearing this, Qinla chuckled. "For your sincerity, I'll let you join." Qing Wang, explain our rules to him. Qin Guang approached and explained the team's principles. Firstly, always follow the boss's commands. Secondly, if you flee in battle, you will be killed. While speaking, Qinan made a throat-slitting gesture. Hearing this, Linjin nodded in acknowledgement. Chino, with excitement evident on his face, gazed at the level 6 crystal in his hand. "With this, I can advance to level 5 in just 3 days. That's half a month faster than I expected." "Excellent." With that in mind, Chino instructed Qing Wang to keep an eye on the people around the villa. After all, many from Sua's team escaped. If you find any with light abilities or support skills among them, recruit them all. If they refuse, bring them to me by force. Only I and our group possess healing arts. If more people get injured, she won't be enough to treat them. "Don't worry, Brochin, I understand," replied Qin Guang. As Qinlu prepared to return to the villa, he spotted Thunder King. "You're back so soon?" asked Chino. Thunder King boasted proudly. "Who do you think I am? I'm a professional hunter." To train the new member, Qinlu immediately convened a mobilization meeting. He assigned Cheyenne to lead a team to hunt zombies, collecting crystals and resources. Lenin, looking at the leader, remarked to Qin Guang in surprise, "She's not as she appears. I thought you'd be leading. Instead, it's a pretty girl. Is she very skilled?" Qin Guang chuckled and explained, "I'm just a younger brother here. The ladies in our team joined the boss earlier and have all reached level 2. Shun, leading now, is particularly talented and has the boss's favor. I believe she's already level 3. Upon hearing this, Lin Jin was flabbergasted. "My goodness, that's so powerful. All level 2 ladies." Facing a group of zombies, Shun issued a series of commands. Everyone split into groups of 4 to search for and collect supplies. Jiang Feng, you stay at the entrance of the residential area. If there's any situation, use the walkie-talkie to inform everyone. An hour later, dozens of vehicles swiftly approached the residential area. Jiang Feng, who was guarding the entrance, saw them, and his face changed color. He quickly contacted everyone through his walkie-talkie. "Be alert. A large number of vehicles have entered the area. Be cautious." Upon hearing this, Shun immediately instructed everyone to gather and assess the situation. "We don't need to rush to collect supplies." However, Yinlu was somewhat unwilling to give up. "There's still a lot of food here. If we gather together, what are we afraid of?" As everyone prepared to go upstairs, they realized it was too late. They were surrounded by the arriving group. The men in the vehicles, spotting the ladies, displayed lecherous grins. One of them stretched out his hand with malicious intent toward Yenle. Yenle quickly slapped the man's hand away and shouted, "What do you think you're doing?" "Just having a little fun, sweetheart. It's the apocalypse. No need to play coy anymore, right?" Hearing their vulgar words and unable to restrain herself any longer, Yenle delivered a swift kick, shattering the man's groin. The leading man of the opposing group was infuriated. "You dare hit my brother? Take out these two men first. We'll deal with the women later." As the words left his mouth, a group immediately surrounded the two men from Yenle's team. Seeing this, Yenle tried to step forward to help, but unexpectedly, someone attacked her from behind. A metal rod was slammed ruthlessly onto her head. In an instant, Yenle collapsed on the ground, with a gash on her head bleeding profusely. The man cursed at her, underscoring her. "How ungrateful," a voice shouted. "Hey Z, what are you doing?" Hearing this, has quickly replied with an ingratiating smile. "Bro, you saw some damn woman try to hit me. I just taught her a lesson." Juan frowned, guessing what had transpired. Given Haz's strength and value to the team, he didn't reprimand him but warned, "Don't go too far. This should not happen again." The others nodded in agreement. Just then, an ice arrow shot through the head of the man in black. Upon seeing this, Lu Yuan immediately got out of his vehicle. Xuan coldly said, "Release them." Lu Yuan scoffed. "You killed one of mine and expect me to let them go?" Hearing this and filled with anger, Shun immediately shot an ice arrow toward Lu Yuan. In response, Lu Yuan summoned a protective shield made of earth. Although Shun's ice arrow penetrated the shield, it had lost most of its momentum. Both Shun and Lu Yuan's expressions changed, recognizing each other's power. After a moment of standoff, Shun calmed down, fully aware that now wasn't the time for an all-out battle. She demanded the release of her teammates. Lu Yuan, not wanting an all-out conflict either, agreed. Although the 4 members of Shun's team were returned, Yenle had already succumbed to her injuries. Shun, cradling Yin Li's lifeless body, mourned deeply. "You'll pay for this. Chino won't let you go." Men from the opposing side began to mockingly jeer at the scene. However, Shun ignored them and whispered, "Let's go." Yang Zhen gave the men a cold glance and was about to drive away in the heavy truck when someone stopped them. "Leave the truck, you can't take it." Upon hearing this, Shun, suppressing her rage, said, "Give it to them. Let's leave." Watching the retreating figures of Shun and her team, has whispered to Lu Yuan, suggesting they forcibly keep the group of beautiful women. Lu Yuan, however, slapped Haz in response and scolded, "Damn it, why are you stirring up trouble? That woman is not to be trifled with." Haz, covering his face, argued that they had the advantage in numbers. Would they really risk everything? Lu Yuan was aware that this group's main base was nearby and realized that the situation wasn't as simple. They needed to understand their enemy's capabilities and then strike them decisively. Otherwise, they'd face retaliation. Back in the villa area, Shun immediately briefed Chino on the entire situation, admitting her mistakes and recognizing her failure in leadership, which led to Yin Lun not dying at the hands of zombies, but by survivors instead. Hearing this, Chino took a deep breath and reassured her, "You did the right thing. Engaging in a fight then would have been unwise." He was well aware that the most dangerous thing in this post-apocalyptic world wasn't zombies, but the infighting among survivors. "Since you all chose to follow me, I won't let anyone trample on us. Those who spill our blood must pay in kind. When I have a grudge, I don't let it linger." Immediately, he gathered everyone from the villa to set out for revenge. Hearing about the incident and Chino's declaration, everyone was filled with righteous indignation, especially by Chino's words, which made their blood boil. With Chinla leading, they felt undefeatable. Seeing the imposing Chino and his group, has commented, "Bro Yuan, someone's approaching. It looks like the group that just left." Lu Yuan quickly looked out the window and saw more than 60 people alighting from vehicles. As the two factions locked eyes, Lu Yuan sensed something amiss. This woman, a level 3 ability user, was pouring her grievances out to this young man. Chino coldly stared at them. Are you the leader? Who gave you the audacity to kill one of mine? I can't find a single reason to spare any of you. Upon hearing Chino's words, Luan was taken aback. For someone to speak with such confidence, the young man's strength must surpass that of the woman. They couldn't confront him directly. With that thought, Lu Yuan quickly apologized. Young man, it was our mistake. We'll return your truck immediately and compensate with a ton of rice. How about that? Qinlu sneered. A ton of rice for the life of my team member? How about I give you 100 tons for the lives of all your men? Hearing this, Lu Yuan frowned. He realized that this young leader was not to be trifled with. Anyone with such audacity must have a trump card. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the leader. People were his most valuable asset, and he couldn't risk them. With that thought, he decided to hand over the main culprits to Chino for judgment. At his command, several of his men forcefully brought the struggling Hez before Chino. Seeing Hez kneeling before him, Chino smirked internally. You think handing over one scapegoat will resolve this? Impossible. I, Chino, always repay my debts. Terrified, Hez, with mucus running from his nose, pleaded with Qinlu, claiming that he wasn't the only one responsible and that there were two others involved. Curious, Qinlu looked at Luan and asked, "What do you have to say?" Knowing that he must hand them over to settle the matter, Luan ordered his men to bring forth the other two culprits. Observing this, Qinlu coldly commanded, "What are you waiting for? Step forward and slap these men. Continue until they're dead." As soon as the order was given, a group rushed forward, brutally slapping the three culprits. After a while of watching the trio bruised and battered, Qinlu ordered some medical treatment for them, only to let Shun and the others continue the beating afterward. The three men cried and pleaded, "Big brother, we were wrong. We are willing to join you and fight against Lu Yuan." However, Shun and the others paid no heed. After about 10 minutes, Hez and the other two were slapped to death. Witnessing this, Lu Yuan was drenched in cold sweat. He hadn't anticipated the ferocity of these individuals. They say never to wrong a woman, he thought. Little brother, since the main culprits are now dead and you've also killed one of ours, can we consider the matter settled? Luan proposed. Upon hearing this, Chino snorted dismissively. You must be daydreaming. How can their pathetic lives compensate? I want the lives of everyone present. Lu Yuan retorted in disbelief. Are you even being reasonable? Why should I reason with you? Who do you think you are? Chino shot back. This remark made Lu Yuan scoff. I've never seen someone as arrogant as you. You think I'm afraid of you? My men here fought their way out of zombies, and we even outnumber you. You'd best leave while you still can. Unperturbed by Luan's threat, Chino said, numerical superiority means nothing in the face of absolute power. It's just a delivery of heads I need. To establish his authority among his followers and firmly sit in a leader's position, one not only needs resources, but also raw power. It's been a long time since I last showed my true strength. Many of my new members haven't seen what I'm truly capable of. This is a perfect opportunity for me to demonstrate and intimidate. With that thought, Chino instantly summoned his void sword and charged towards Luan. Seeing this, Lu Yuan realized the imminent danger and quickly summoned an earthen shield to protect himself. However, the void sword, like a blade through sand, pierced effortlessly through the shield and then through Lu Yuan's body, splitting him in two. Witnessing the swift execution of their leader, the opposing forces felt their scalps tingle with terror. At this moment, he cast a spell on Chino, enhancing his defense and strength. Qinlu grinned. It's great to have a wife who looks out for you. He then charged into the heart of Lu Yuan's camp like a tiger among sheep. Although the void sword couldn't last more than an hour could easily pass, but the void sword would last for only 3 minutes. Another two fell, sliced cleanly in half by Chino's blade. The shock and terror that began with Lu Yuan's death now peaked. Thoughts raced through their minds. This guy isn't human. If we don't flee now, we'll die by his hand. Guanglin, Chun, and others were deeply shaken by the scene, while Mei sighed. The gap between him and me seems to be growing. She urged, "Let's all attack together and not leave any lingering threats." Half an hour later, Chinong, exhilarated, pledged his loyalty to Chino. Listening to Chinla's flattery, Chino responded with a mild smile. "Enough of the bootlicking. I truly regret Yin Li's death, but this is the apocalypse. We must remain vigilant at all times, as danger can strike at any moment. I sent you out to gather crystals, but more importantly, to gain battle experience. The best protector for each of you is yourselves. I hope everyone will quickly enhance their skills. Since you've chosen to follow me, anyone who bullies you will pay the price. Now let's gather some supplies. It's almost noon. We should head back and let a few of our skilled sisters prepare lunch for everyone." In a villa district, two men in tattered shirts were intently staring at Thunder King, craving his flesh. Although Thunder King was aware, he pretended to be oblivious, intending to tease these two. The men, meanwhile, were salivating profusely. Just as one of them, with red hair, was about to make a move, he was stopped by Meow, who advised against rashness. "What if the dog escapes? We've been hungry for a day and definitely can't outrun this dog. Let's lure him over with a piece of feces, ensuring a fail-proof plan. As the saying goes, a dog can't change its habit of eating feces." As Thunder King approached step by step, the two drooled even more. "Really? I'm minding my own business, and you're offering yourselves up to die using feces to lure me? You can target a dog, but you can't insult one this way." With these thoughts, Thunder King became so enraged that unnatural lightning began to flash around him. This bewildering phenomenon left Sieta and Meow dumbstruck. How can this dog generate electricity? Especially given Thunder King's fierce appearance, the two sensed imminent danger and turned to flee towards the exit. But it was too late. Thunder King spewed terrifying lightning from his mouth, striking them down. This scene was coincidentally witnessed by the returning Chino. "Thunder King, what are you doing? Were these two intruders?" An infuriated Thunder King ignored Chino and left. Watching him leave, Chino was utterly perplexed, wondering what had just transpired. Unable to fathom the situation, Chino decided not to dwell on it. Turning to the others, he said, "All right, everyone, take a break now. After lunch, you're free to practice." As the crowd dispersed, Chino contemplated whether he should recruit more members. After all, his team was relatively small. If they were to encounter a group of several hundred people, even he alone couldn't handle them all. Furthermore, with the current manpower, who knows how many would remain after a few months? It seems necessary to draft a recruitment notice. I have plenty of supplies. As long as they obey orders and dare to battle zombies, they're welcome to join. After lunch, Chinong sat at the entrance of the villa district. A conspicuous notice board had been placed at the entrance. The message was quite straightforward, indicating that there were several Tier 3 superpower users in the base. Their strength was formidable, the compensation was generous, and there were sufficient crystals. Before long, a 7-seater minivan pulled up to the entrance. The sight of the notice board piqued their curiosity, drawing them closer for a better look. After reading all the terms and conditions, the group, who were uncertain about their next move, were immediately intrigued. But while the perks were attractive, the qualifications were demanding. Only Tier 2 individuals could join, and out of the 5 of them, only 2 met the criteria. One of them inquired, "Chow, what do you think?" Wang Chao hesitated before saying, "If everything they've mentioned is true, then there's no doubt we should join. But only Louis and I have reached Tier 2. The 3 of you don't meet the criteria." Lucci suggested, "Why don't we get out of the car and inquire? Don't they accept family members?" Shen Guang laughed and shook his head. Family members refer to those with blood relations. However, if a Tier 1 individual can contribute 3 Tier 1 crystals, they can join. Hearing this, the man named Lucci introduced himself, claiming he was a healer, someone who could heal and bolster strength. He asked if they could make an exception for him. Shen Guang was taken aback by this revelation. Healers were rare and valuable. He immediately agreed and brought them to Chino. Chino looked them over. Louis's name seemed familiar to Chinlu. He recalled hearing about a rather well-known healer by that name. Additionally, Rice confirmed that these newcomers bore no ill intent, so Chino tasked Gon with their arrangements. Returning to the villa, Chino took out the Tier 6 crystal to absorb its power. By his estimations, he should be able to advance to Tier 5 by nightfall. And indeed, with the depletion of the Tier 6 crystal, Chino successfully ascended to Tier 5. As their team grew stronger, their needs for supplies also increased. Chinlu thus rallied everyone to embark on a supply hunt. Before leaving, he reminded Chengwang and Thunder King to guard their base. Half an hour later, a grand convoy reached a nearby agricultural market. Though the market was teeming with zombies, it was equally abundant in supplies. Facing the horde, using traditional four-person team tactics would be ineffective. Zhang Fong, you'll draw the zombies out one batch at a time. For Zhang Fong's safety, Mi boosted his status. Entering the marketplace, Zhang Fong quickly attracted a group of 7 or 8 zombies, which eagerly pursued him. As long as he maintained a distance of more than 20 meters from the zombies, they couldn't harm him. Lower-tier zombies didn't have a long attack range. Meanwhile, the rest of the team stood by, launching long-range magical attacks. Observing the scenario, Chinlu explained, "See this? If you encounter slightly larger groups of zombies in the future, use this tactic. But if there are too many, don't try it. If you die, don't blame me." He then delegated a few Tier 2 members with good speed to attract the zombies. Let's start clearing them. An hour later, the 100 or so zombies lurking around the marketplace were exterminated. Hearing the team's reports, Chino nodded in acknowledgement. "I'll personally draw out the next batch of zombies." Chino was reluctant to send Zhang Fong because he feared he might encounter a mutated zombie and lose his life. He recalled hearing in his past life about a certain time when there was a mutated Earth-type zombie in the market, its strength equivalent to a Tier 4 or Tier 5 zombie. The question was where this creature was hiding. He first approached the area selling pork, beef, and lamb. The space spanned about 500 to 600 square meters and was home to around 80 to 90 zombies. Just then, a zombie resembling an old farmer with a straw hat suddenly unleashed several spikes in a straight line, effectively blocking Chino's path. But Chino, far from panicking, rejoiced, "Didn't expect to find you so soon." Utilizing his void walking, he not only dodged the old farmer zombie's attack, but also instantly appeared behind it. The creature had no time to employ its earth shield, and Chino's blade swiftly decapitated it. Holding its still twitching head, Chino continued running forward, now with over 200 zombies tailing him. The sight of such a massive horde following Chino left the others stunned. "Run," he yelled. "Use your speed advantage to lose them. Prep your magic, roughly aim and cast, but don't stop. Keep running." With everyone's coordination, hundreds of zombies were easily vanquished. Jubilation and a hint of exhilaration filled the faces of the team. If we practice this strategy diligently, no amount of zombies will be a match for us. Chino, however, was more silver-minded. Only if you keep pace with the evolution of the zombies. Most survivors can't keep up with the rapid development of these creatures. Now let's gather what supplies we can carry and move out. Meanwhile, Chino ventured into the cold storage room. Compared to the one where he stored pork, this one seemed quite small. It had been without power for a long time, rendering the meat inside spoiled. But Chino decided to take out some pork and beef, presenting them as part of the retrieved supplies. 2 hours later, the group had loaded all the supplies onto their vehicles. As they were about to drive away, a middle-aged man stepped forward to block Chino's lead vehicle. With a calm demeanor, Chino said, "Please step aside." Just as the middle-aged man was about to speak, a motorcycle approached. From it alighted a tan-skinned but vibrant young man. Chino's pupils contracted. It was him, Sahin, known in the future as the unbeatable Iron Fist. To think that he'd encounter him here. But Sahin wasn't there for Chino. He was there for the middle-aged man blocking the way. "Bro Long, I heard you caught a live chicken. Can you give it to me? My mother's condition is deteriorating, and she wishes for a bowl of chicken soup before the end. If you help, I'll be in your debt." Hearing this, Bro Long immediately declined. "I'm sorry, brother, I can't do that." Although Bro Long spoke politely, The man behind him was not so kind. A smart calculation, taking Brolong's chicken and then offering your life to him? Are you expecting Brolong to take care of you forever? Observing this scene, Chino suddenly chimed in. I have a chicken and a chef who can make the soup you desire. How about you owe me instead? Taken aback, Sahin nodded. Yes, for a satisfactory bowl of chicken soup, I will owe you my life. Chino smiled. Deal. Trading a top-tier fighter for a bowl of chicken soup? Who wouldn't take that bargain? He decided to bring both Sahin and his ailing mother to his base. Half an hour later, Sahin emerged from a building carrying a woman in her 50s on his back, showing signs of weariness. After they boarded the vehicle, Sahin whispered, she's in the late stages of cancer. Chino realized there wasn't much hope for her unless Mei could advance to level 7. Their current healing abilities were only good for treating minor injuries and hadn't reached the capability to cure terminal diseases. In less than half an hour, Chino returned to the Villa District. He asked Shun to arrange a separate room for Sahin and his mother, ensuring they would be well taken care of. He also mentioned he would organize for the chicken soup to be made. After they left, Chino said to Miyu, whatever ingredients and seasonings you need, just let me know. Make sure you do this one diligently. Miyu nodded and muttered, do you think I wasn't serious before? Chino replied awkwardly, cough, what I meant was, be even more meticulous this time. All right, but for a good chicken soup, it will take at least 3 hours, Miyu responded. After pondering for a moment, Chino suggested, then prepare some home-style dishes. After all, we can't just have chicken soup. Maybe Sahin's mother would like to eat something else. If we're trying to win someone's heart, we should go all out. A few hours later, a table full of delicious dishes was served in front of Sahin's mother. Sahin was stupefied, and his mother had to rub her eyes, thinking she might be hallucinating. Chino smiled and said, Annie, let's eat. Although she initially declined, with Sahin's assistance, she enjoyed a hearty meal. Before her final moments, she grasped Chino's hand and trembled. Young man, I can see you're a good person. Please take care of my son. Turning to Sahin, she added, a mother knows her son best. If he can offer such precious things to honor me, he must value you greatly. Don't let him down. Holding his mother's hand tightly, Sahin responded, Mother, don't worry, I understand. Contrary to Chino's expectations, Sahin wasn't deeply saddened by his mother's passing. He said to Chino, Big brother, thank you. My mother has passed, and it's for the best. She won't suffer from her illness any longer. Big brother, you'll see my performance in the future. Chino understood Sahin's character. However, with the team growing larger, it was necessary to establish some rules early on. They couldn't let some people slack off. A system of rewards and punishments needed to be set up. The roles in the community were divided into leader, deputy leader, elders, elite members, regular members, new members, and a special position called Devote, which only Chino could assign. Sudu and Mei held the Devote title. Each rank had its own privileges. Currently, those who reached level 3 could be designated as elite members, while everyone else was a regular member. Newcomers would start as new members, and after half a month, or if they displayed exceptional merit, they would be upgraded to regular members. Later on, they could exchange personal points for resources in the base. Points would be distributed based on individual performance, with extra rewards for outstanding achievements. From then on, positions would be determined by points, not by rank. Thinking of this, Chino gathered everyone to announce the new system. Any power user who reached level 3 could be designated an elite member. If these elite members had leadership capabilities, they could lead 20 regular members. Shun was the leader of the female squad, while Fangu and Chengwang led the male squads. From today, this ranking policy will be officially implemented. As long as you are willing to risk your life, you can live comfortably, Chino announced. The excitement among the members was palpable. Their morale soared, and they shouted in unison about killing zombies to earn points. At the same time, outside the villa area, 2 large convoys were approaching Chino's base. The leader, Xiaoai, asked the other convoy, I've hardly seen any zombies around here. Do you know what's going on? Seeing the number of people with Xiaoai, he didn't dare to hide anything and honestly informed him. Upon hearing this, Xiaoai was taken aback. He remembered that before the apocalypse, Chino had mortgaged his villa to him, borrowing 300 million to stockpile supplies. It seemed that Xiaoai was on his way to collect that debt. Soon, Xiaoai's convoy reached the entrance of the base. Lin Chun, who was at the gate, saw the convoy and immediately radioed Chino for backup. "Bro, Chino, we need reinforcements at the gate. A large convoy has arrived." Hearing this, Chino quickly rushed over. However, when he saw the person stepping out of the vehicle, he was momentarily stunned, thinking, "Isn't this the guy to whom I mortgaged my villa for 300 million? Xiaoai, seeing Chino's reaction, laughed heartily and said, "Little brother, who would have thought we'd meet under these circumstances? It's fate." Chino, a bit embarrassed, replied, "I didn't expect to see you here either. Are you in charge around here?" Once Chino confirmed, Xiaoai cut straight to the point. "Brother, you owe me 300 million, which has matured with interest. That's 330 million. You've been overdue for a while now. Given the special circumstances, I'm willing to waive the late fees and interest. Just pay me back the principal." Hearing this, Chino chuckled to himself, thinking, does he really believe I'll pay him back? Why is he under this illusion? Out loud, Chino confidently said, "Brother, do you really think Chino, would default on my debt? In fact, I've already transferred the money to your account. Haven't you received it? It's a shame we don't have a signal now. Otherwise, I'd show you the transfer record. But you can't accuse me of not paying my debts." Xiaoai was taken aback by Chino's words. He never expected such a maneuver from him. This was like the pot calling the kettle black. One of Xiaoai's men shouted angrily, "You're talking nonsense. For such a large sum, wouldn't you personally come to inform us about the transfer? Do you think you can fool us with such a lame excuse?" Chino chuckled lightly and replied, "Well then, you should go to the bank and bring out evidence that I didn't transfer the money. But since you have helped me in the past, I am grateful. I'll give you a ton of rice as a thank you." Xiaoai, with a grim face, replied, "Brother, that's not fair. I won't make things difficult for you. Just give me some meat. Times have changed and the value of meat has increased. For 300 million, give me 15 tons of meat, and we'll call it even." Jinta, who was standing beside Xiaoai, sneered, "Everyone present should have a share. I want 15 tons too. That's not too much to ask, right? If you don't have the meat, you can settle the debt with the women by your side." Hearing Jinta's words, Chino's expression turned cold. "Even if I had the meat, why should I give it to you?" Seeing Chino's attitude and the expressions of those behind him, Xiaoai suddenly realized something. Chino's team must have cleared out so many zombies due to their strength. Realizing this, Xiaoai quickly changed his tone and said, "I made a mistake. Chino, your money did indeed come through." Upon hearing this, Jinta looked at Xiaoai as if he had gone mad. "I was mistaken. Brother Chino is not one to default on his debts." Chino clapped and said, "You're a sensible man. Take your people and stand aside. Don't interfere." Xiaoai, cooperating, waved his hand and, along with his subordinates, promptly departed. Jinta, on the other hand, hurled insults at the departing Xiaoai. "Xiaoai, you coward! There are just a few people on their side, and you cowered so easily? I must have been blind to trust you." Xiaoai remained silent, thinking there's no loss in being insulted. Seeing this scene, Jinta snorted, "If you want to take me on, come at me." Chino coldly addressed the crowd. "Anyone who doesn't want to meet their end alongside him, go stand by Xiaoai's side. I'm giving you 10 seconds." Hearing this, indeed there were smart individuals in Chino's group. Sensing the tense atmosphere, some began to retreat quietly. To Chino's surprise, Jinta turned out to be a dark element user with a summoning talent. The same talent could manifest in various ways. For instance, the dark element could be divided into curse, summoning, undead, and attack subcategories. On Chino's side, there was a girl named Louie who also belonged to the dark element, but her first acquired skill was a curse type that slowed down movements. She was likely to specialize in curses. Jinta, on the other hand, possessed a summoning talent within the dark element. After 5 or 6 seconds, 7 skeletal figures without flesh materialized in front of Jinta. "Never seen this, have you?" Jinna boasted, "People killed by my skeletal soldiers go straight to hell. Their souls are devoured, and they're never reborn." Chino laughed dismissively. "Who are you trying to scare with all that mumbo-jumbo? Why not claim you're the king of the underworld while you're at it?" With that, Chino stepped aside, making space. Chino shouted, "It's your turn now. 5 points for each kill. Capturing Jinna alive gets 100 points. Just then, Thunder King suddenly ran out, barking loudly. Over the past couple of days, he had set his sights on the Elder's position. A twitch appeared at the corner of Chino's mouth. "What would you even do with points? Fine, if you want them, you'll have them." Hearing this, Thunder King barked twice excitedly, indicating he was in on the action. Leading the charge against the enemies, he released a well-prepared ball of lightning that exploded amongst them, instantly earning himself 20 points. This brought him one step closer to the coveted Elder position. Seeing this, Mei shouted, "Prepare your spells and wait for them to rush us." Jinna's side was forced into a passive position, especially with Thunder King relentlessly attacking them. Chino was at a loss for words. He had wanted to train his team members, but his plans were completely disrupted by a dog. Suddenly, Thunder King approached Jinta and marked his territory right on him before chasing after others who were trying to escape. The message was clear. Jinta was his target, and nobody else should interfere. Chino, covering his face in disbelief, thought, "Thunder King, was it really necessary to urinate in public like that?" Watching his own teammates fall one after another, Jinta desperately clung to Chino's leg, begging, "Boss, spare my life. I'll do anything." Xiaoai, witnessing the scene, felt thankful for making the wise choice of not deeply offending Chino. Chino glanced at Jinna and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill you." He was preparing to exploit a loophole. The undead creatures summoned by Jinta could also yield crystals. However, only level 4 undead creatures and above would have them, whereas those below level 3 did not. Chino planned to first help Jinta level up, thereby acquiring a tool to infinitely farm for crystals. Hearing that Chino wouldn't kill him, Jinna immediately knelt and cried out in gratitude. "Thank you, big brother. I can tell you're a man of your word. I'll listen to you sincerely." Chino responded, "Young man, your summoning talent is impressive, and I have high hopes for you. But if you dare try any tricks or attempt to escape, I'll break all your limbs." With that, Chino instructed those around him, lock him up in a room, and treat him like a new recruit. At this moment, Xiaoai stepped forward to apologize to Chino. "Brother Chino, you're truly capable. I apologize for any past offenses." He then handed over a finely crafted silver pistol to Chino. Chino chuckled lightly, knowing the weapon posed no threat to him but could serve to intimidate others. With this thought, he boldly fired the gun at his chest in front of everyone. To their astonishment, the bullet couldn't penetrate and simply bounced off his clothes, falling weakly to the ground. Xiaoai, shocked by what he had witnessed, stumbled and sat on the ground, thinking, "Is he even human?" The bullet didn't pose any threat at all. Xiaoai said, "Bro, your strength has completely shattered my perceptions. Well, no fight, no acquaintance. We might still have ground for cooperation." Chino then loudly called out, bypassing Xiaoai. "Anyone here from the Light, Dark Earth, or Nature faction? Of course, other unique support abilities are also welcome. We offer decent benefits here. Those considering joining, think about it." Witted lunched in. "We provide 3 full meals, sometimes with meat. Our conditions are excellent, and our strength is evident. Why the hesitation?" Upon hearing this, the crowd immediately erupted in cheers, expressing their eagerness to join Chino's team. Turning to Xiaoai, Chino asked playfully, "Brother Xiao, you don't mind, do you?" Xiaoai gave a bitter smile, watching as the elites were drawn to Chino. "How could I object?" Upon hearing Xiaoai, Chino shouted to the crowd, "Everyone quiet down. To join my team, you need to kill 10 zombies and obtain 10 crystals as proof." As soon as his words finished, groups of people began to form teams to hunt down zombies. Seeing his team members leaving, Xiaoai didn't dare to stay longer, fearing that if he did, everyone else might leave too. "Bro Chino, if you ever need anything, come find me at the Golden Dragon Garden. I live there. If I ever run into trouble, I hope you can help as friends." Chino nodded, indicating no problem. That night, Mei lay in Chino's arms and asked, "Brother Chino, I noticed the new members are performing well. Why don't you let them clear out the nearby zombies? Zombies can evolve. Shouldn't we clear them all out before they complete their evolution?" Chino explained, "That's just your perspective. Even now, some survivors are still afraid to confront zombies. If everyone comes together and they encounter a higher-level mutated zombie, everyone could be wiped out." Mei responded with a simple acknowledgement and gradually fell asleep in Chino's embrace. However, Chino couldn't sleep. What he told Mei was just part of the reason. Knowing the future progression, he understood that zombies needed to evolve. After clearing out the zombies, there wouldn't be enough high-level crystals, and humans couldn't evolve rapidly. When the more formidable creatures descend, they would be doomed. The next morning, like always, Chino held a mobilization meeting, reminding everyone, be cautious when going out. The zombies will become increasingly stronger. But after they left, Rice suddenly seemed to sense something and anxiously said to Chino, "I have a bad feeling. I feel that Mei might get hurt. There's no life-threatening danger, but I'm still worried." This statement made Chino's face turn serious. Mei and Sue always acted together, and with Thunder King as their bodyguard, under normal circumstances, there shouldn't be any danger to her. Thinking of this, Chino sought confirmation. "So she'll only be injured, and there's no threat to her life, right?" Rice nodded in agreement. After hesitating for a long moment, Chino took a deep breath and ultimately decided not to follow them. He thought protecting her like a caged canary won't help. Even if she becomes a king level, she won't be the spirit flame princess from my past life. Chino gently petted Rice, saying, "You're truly a remarkable cat, at least a level 10 psychic power user." Chino thought, to sense impending danger is a significant ability, and usually, it's only for oneself. But Rice can perceive danger for others and foresee it far in advance. I should start collecting higher-grade crystals to enhance Rice's powers. Meanwhile, with the combined efforts of Mei, Lei, and Sue, they quickly cleared out the surrounding zombies. Throughout their journey, they didn't encounter any zombies above level 2. Initially, everything went smoothly, but unbeknownst to them, a mutated zombie had set its sights on them. This level 4 zombie, with fairly high intelligence, observed Mei Ling's group from a distance. Instead of attacking rashly, it decided to rally other zombies for help. Just then, Thunder King noticed 3 zombies in an alleyway and charged at them. However, as soon as he was a distance away from Mei's group, the horde of zombies launched their surprise attack. The level 4 zombie hid amongst the masses, letting the lower-level zombies lead the charge.